What is going on? Welcome to another episode of Music Row Hideout, the show where we hang out with artists, musicians, and entertainers in Waylon Jennings' old basement studio. My name is Jury, and as always, I am gathered here with co-host Ryan Poole. Well, I'll pass it to you to introduce the guest.
Tonight, on a very special episode of Music Row Hideout,
The most special.
we have John Class, producer to the stars, and to most of our guests.
Lucky to have been with some of them.
John lives here in Nashville, Tennessee, specifically in East Nashville, right next to the train.
Yeah, and if you say more, and then people will just come up to my house and throw shit.
To be fair,
out.
there's a lot of trains here.
Yeah.
There's tons of trains. So check all the houses by all the trains. You'll find them.
You'll find me eventually.
And he hails from probably somewhere else because no one's from Nashville.
I've met like 2 people that are from here, legitimately, and they're awful. I'm kidding.
They're like, hey, I'm Mike Could.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, the guy. Because just something about me, I feel like I get really locked into working on music, and then anything outside of that, I am such a lazy piece of shit. And so my wife is just like, John, if you're not gonna mow the lawn, I'm gonna hire somebody to do it. I'm just like,
hire someone to do it.
Yeah, so I'm just like, so this guy, his name's Money Martin, and he is from Nashville, and he opens his mouth and he sounds like it, and he's fit. So Money mows our lawn. His name is Money, and I'm just
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah. So
Legal?
his legal name, his Christian name,
His Christian name.
his God-given name is Money. Yeah,
You know what's
and I will
wild
never be that cool.
is everyone talks about that. I don't know anybody who's from here, right? Especially with our guests. You've said that a lot of times. I had the exact opposite experience when I moved here because I moved here and just got a adult job.
Yeah,
I worked at Belmont in their financial aid office processing all their monies, which is a lot. And so everyone I met when I first moved here was
named
from
Money.
here.
Oh.
Yeah, they all were named Money. It's wild how that worked out.
There's Money Smith.
But yeah, all the first people I knew were from here. But everyone always told me there's no one. You never meet them. And I'm like,
I literally met all of them.
I'm like, I met them all. What do you mean? I know the whole crew, the OG Nashville crew.
Do you still work there?
No, God.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Sounds like you loved it.
The job wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's just
The school education side wasn't bad.
Oh, okay.
But the school administrative side was not my favorite.
Okay.
Not my favorite.
Very cool.
And I could say a lot more, but I've shit on Belmont a lot in this podcast. And
Time to give them a rest.
I don't work there anymore, so I don't
Yeah.
feel I don't care anymore.
Yeah, they got enough money though. They can be shit on every day.
True.
That sounds weird. Why would I say that?
Yeah.
I have no.
if you had a lot of money, that's what you would do. That's why.
What's that?
If you had a lot of money, that's what you would want.
Yeah, I'd want people to shit on me too.
Every day.
I would just deserve it. It's not what I asked for, but it's what I deserve. But no, I'm from Indiana. Yeah, I moved here
nice.
2 years ago. So
What part of Indiana?
I grew up in Indianapolis, and then
Well, it was either that or I don't know what it is.
yeah, that's correct. Bloomington, you've heard of? I was not in Bloomington.
He is so stoked that you said Indianapolis.
I love Indianapolis. I actually love Indianapolis. Growing up there was super cool, and I don't know, the actual downtown is super clean. I love going there. But so I grew up there and then went to a small Christian college outside of there called Anderson University. That's Bill Gaither Mecca, Southern Gospel 101.
Oh, wow.
And did my internship at his studio. Beautiful studio that nobody uses anymore. Not that I'm aware of much. Some really nice people that work there. But that helped me out a lot. But
a lot of studios are more like museums now.
Yeah. This beautiful old API console and every Neumann mic from the 60s you could imagine. It was just gorgeous. I had no business touching any of that stuff. But it was awesome. And then graduated and then didn't get a job because I was just trying to make records out of my house. And then because they have a music business school. And which is just a funny thing anywhere, even at Belmont, music business school is just it feels like maybe you should just skip the college and do the music business part.
No.
But
worse with things like songwriting.
Yeah.
But I've heard the music business program is just business, and there's like 2 music classes,
which is still and there's a couple throughout the United States, small and large, which is still valuable in some capacity. But anyway, it was cool to give me an access to a studio when I I grew up. I didn't have a laptop till I was 18, and then went to school and didn't have access to a studio until I went to school there. and then just started recording all my friends. I'm just telling you the story now. Where are you from? Indiana. Here's everything else.
We're in it. We're in it now.
Yeah. And then shit. Oh yeah. So then I like graduated, didn't get a job because I'm just gonna try to like make records in my house, and the rent there was just so cheap. It was like $200 a month for me, and for like a house and me and two other guys. Like, oh my god.
Wow.
Whoa.
You can just do that whenever you want.
Yeah. That's dangerous. Anyway, and then like in like 2012, I made $11,000, and I'm just like, I got to get a job. So I worked like part-time at my church for like a couple of years, and like, and actually like we kept going there until like we moved here, actually, because it was like one of the, honestly, man, we're getting to get into religion stuff now too. Haven't been to church since we've been here, but anyway, it was a good place. I felt like the people there were chill, but then I quit that after about not even 2 years because me and my buddy Alex got a studio, which I saw was in college. It was just like randomly in the middle of Anderson, Indiana. There was this like big 1,400 square foot studio, and our friend was like renting it out and moving out, and then he's like, "Do you guys want it?" We're like, "Yes."
Yeah. So that's now, to be clear, I'm pretty sure it means studio apartment.
No.
Or do you mean studio?
Studio, like recording studio,
like recording studio.
Yeah, hideout, bitch.
Oh, it was like you guys just found a cool apartment. I was like,
no. Yeah, we were living, like my wife and I got married. Oh my god, nine years ago. We just had and so we've been there. We were there for like 7 years before moving here, and then, but yeah, I worked out of that studio. That's where I made like Tim Carpenter's, like back when he was in a group with his wife, like they had something, and I made all their stuff there. Abby's like first EP, I like made most of that there. So, but yeah, it was a great spot. But then COVID hit, and then like the building, or the people who own the building, like 5 weeks before the end of the year, were just like, "Hey, you got to move out." We're like, "What?" Like, "We're selling the building. You can't be here anymore." And like, and I'd been there for like 7.5 years.
That's rough.
So there was that, and then like the guy, I toured with a guy named Josh Garrels for 5 years. Played keys for him.
Nice. I've heard of him.
Yeah,
and I have friends that really like him.
That sounds about
Wesley,
right.
are you one of those friends?
No. Wesley hates Josh Garrels.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Hating Josh Garrels. Not me, Wes.
That is my favorite button, because just all of a sudden you get Bob O'Reilly in the middle of a set and just pumps me right the fuck up.
Oh, no, but like all good things. I mean, that was like a cool time, but he was just like, "Hey, I'm moving and taking a couple years off of music." And so my wife and I'd always talked about moving down here. And so that was we kind of made the decision, like we found out the week of Thanksgiving that the studio was shutting down. And then, and in September, he had said like, "Hey, I'm kind of like stopping for now." It was also, this is 2020. Mm-hmm. And we were just like, okay, I guess this is the time we'll kind of like move to Nashville. We had talked about it like earlier that year, but so we like moved all this stuff like out like the week after Christmas, moved all my shit out of the studio into our garage, then sold our house to our friends, and then moved here in February. It was not
quick.
Fun.
That's real quick.
Yeah, it was. And it was also just like, everyone's still
freezing.
Like, yeah, oh yeah. The day we moved down here I took 2 years off my life that day, because it was like everything we owned in a 28-foot like U-Haul. And like we had taken some stuff down like the week before, like in cars, and took one of our cars down here. But then like the day that we moved out, it was just covered in snow, and then like the whole way down was like freezing rain. And normally that drive would take 5.5 hours. It took 7.
Wow.
And like just white knuckling it like down the road, like with all of our, and then my wife's like driving up in front of me with like all of our plants, and our cat, who hates being in the car, just like meowing at her the entire time. It was awful. And then we got here, and like all of our friends showed up in masks and helped us move all of our shit in the house in like an hour. And it was all like wet
nice.
Because we moved it in there. So yeah. Yeah, so moved all of our wet stuff into our new house.
If you had to do that again, I would say wait 2 days, because it won't be that way anymore.
I forget why we had to we have to be down here. I don't know. Well, because then that was their thing. Like our friends were moving into our house. Like they bought our house from us.
So you had to go.
Yeah.
And
so
usually that is how it is when you move. It's like somebody else is coming in. You got to be out this day, and you only have this day. And it's like there's this one day that lines up.
Absolutely.
Because everybody wants the person to be out the last day of the month and in the first day of the month, and you're like, this is the day you have
terrible
to do it.
system.
And you have to the U-Haul to get down here was like $750 at the time too, because it was like everyone was moving, and so it's just like you had to plan it out like way in advance too. So we had like this time to move down. We couldn't like just wait like 2 days. I remember that. I'm just like, why did I pay I had no choice. So
That sucks.
word to the wise, don't ever move ever.
Yeah.
Got it.
Just skip it. Don't do it.
So, well, okay, let me ask you.
Yeah.
I mean, this goes directly against that.
Yeah.
But as someone who has never even been or had more than one thought in my life about Indiana, why would I move there?
Is
there-
it
what's
cost of
great?
living.
Don't see how
That's
that's
a
a
fight
So
word.
every episode, Jury asks people why he should move to where they're from. And so
great.
I'm going to try to make that the sound effect for this segment, I think.
Why would I move to Indiana?
Yeah, or Indianapolis or Anderson or whatever.
Oh,
Like,
Anderson, because
what's-
it's cheap as hell. That's why. It was like, and we loved our time there. Like, I think, I don't regret not moving here sooner in a lot of regards. In some regards, like career-wise, I'm like, holy shit, why didn't I get here? And also real estate-wise, why didn't I get here sooner?
Yeah.
But we loved our time in Anderson, and I think in like an alternate universe we never moved, and we're completely happy there because it was like our house was like super cheap to buy. It was like really cute house that cost $0, and like that was amazing. And we had like friends. There's like a brewery and a coffee shop that like we like kind of were like friends with people that like own the coffee shop, and then like the brewery kind of get to you just like there's like one of everything that you'd really not. They're not like all. It's fantastic. It's not like, here. But there was something just about that. It's like, hey, I'm going to, Creatures of Habit Brewery. Like, meet me there. And there's just like, I don't know. You can walk a lot of places, bike a lot of places. And anyway, we really liked it. There's cost of living's low, and there's a couple enough amenities there that if you're into like, biking, then it would be great. So, or just like having money, because it doesn't cost anything to live there. So that's why.
You sort of it sucks when you live in a big city.
Yeah.
It's like we're from a big city, and then this is like become
This
a big
is
city.
now, yeah.
And like when you're used to that and that's all we know,
Yeah.
like the idea, everything you just said, I'm picturing it and I'm like, that's so idyllic. And I've been to those kinds of towns.
Yeah.
Like touring around, I've gone to those places, and I'm like, and I've ridden a bike around them, and been like, this is so cool. Like, it would be great to live here, but I can't give up the like fucking the crack
convenience.
cocaine that a big city has of like, but there's 300. Like, I'm gonna have one brewery.
Yeah,
What-
yeah.
like
Which, like, no, and that makes total sense for like a normal person. I think I'm just boring. Like, I'm just like fine, like just same thing forever. Like, great.
I'm with you.
And it's
100%.
like, hey, if I wanted to start a tiki bar, then I could do that there tomorrow. Because I mean, I don't know if there would be the clientele to hold it up or
I don't
something
know
like
if he's
that.
successful or not.
But it's like you can literally just be like, okay, what did I want to start when I was like 14? You could probably do it here because you can buy a building for $50,000. So like that part of it was like really kind of nice. And we thought about like before we moved, like even before I knew the studio was like going away, I was like, because they just kept like raising like the rent, and it was still like just stupid for what it was. But I'm
it's
also
gonna be
just like,
$100 a month now.
yeah. Literally when this is wild. I split it with my friend. I was 23 and had no money. So it was like, I don't know if I can swing it. But like the whole, they wised up after 2 years. They're like, wait a minute, you're getting stuff that you're not paying for. But that whole, it was like this big control room. And then it had like 3 ISO booths and a live room, huge studio space, bigger than my house. And it was like $375 a month for the whole thing. It had no gear in it, but it was just like stupid cheap, beautiful space, floated floors, like wood paneling on the walls. It was like, it kind of looked a little like very 70s,
Yeah.
but it sounded incredible. And then they wised up, it was more than that. But all that to say, 2020, I was just like, man, why don't I just, because I was recording so many people from out of state. So many people were just coming in and like staying with us. And I'm just like, I do not want to do this anymore, because then you're like, all right, done working, time to just hang out with you for the rest of the night, I guess. Like, which is fine for like a day, but then like people are sleeping at your house. It's just for like every month. You're just like,
this is
nah.
my space. I need you to get out.
Yes. So it doesn't matter how nice the person is.
Right.
We had like most everyone who stayed with us was super nice, but it's just like,
But you got your routines, things
Yeah.
that you do,
Yep.
and they're just in the way.
And I've just seen you all day. So like,
Right.
Anyway, so that was like, I was like, we had an offer. We were ready to buy another house, like just in Anderson, because it would have been half the cost to buy another house and make that into the studio and have people stay there and record out of that. And so like we almost did that, and then we're just like, we kind of got a feeling, we're like, I don't know, maybe this is the wrong time. So we backed out of the sale, and good thing too, because then we ended up moving here like 6 months later. So
Yeah.
Wow.
but Yeah, I don't know.
Once you know your town's cheap when you're like, it'd be really convenient to have another house.
Yes.
We might need to have a few extra houses.
God, well, it was just like, it was.
Like if they're just giving them away.
Yeah.
I'll take a couple.
Sometimes I just like looking at houses because I don't know why. It's just better than, Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Sometimes I was like, I like houses. And I'll sometimes just go back to Anderson, like, what's for sale for like $50,000? And it's just like, well, shit, that's nice.
Oof.
But yeah. So there's like a hope in my brain that someday I'll just move away.
That's anything is amazing. $50,000 bought you a thing that people live in?
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, well, maybe that's maybe like a little. Well, you could buy it. There are houses for sale, and they're not great, but there's still houses for sale.
There are houses.
The fact that exists is insane.
Yeah.
It's so out of all the guests that I've asked this to, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Which all of them, by the way, have the same answer.
Sure.
Which is trees for some reason. They're like, we have so many trees. And I'm just like,
so does everywhere.
I mean, I grew up somewhere where they don't have a lot of trees.
Oh, never
San
mind.
Diego.
So
it's
sorry.
like a desert.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
But out here, I'm like, I got trees. Like, I'm not going to move away from Nashville for trees. But you actually gave me the first thing that I was like, interesting.
Yeah,
Which
cost
is,
of living.
It's free.
Yeah, it's free.
I'm like, that sounds nice.
Like, they need to be like broadcasting that more to just be like, okay, if you work remote, we will pay you $10,000 to move to Anderson because, like, if you're working remote and you're making like, you're making like San Francisco money or something like that at some tech company or something like that, then like you could literally buy the biggest house in Anderson.
You could buy Anderson.
Yeah, you could. Anderson needs you to buy it.
Somebody's gotta pick up the slack.
And that was the Why Should Jury Move segment. Okay, I think we've gotten to that time of the show where we should play a song.
Yeah.
So, as previously stated, John is a producer, and so we won't be playing his music. We'll be playing somebody else's music that he produced.
Yeah.
So, do you want to give any kind of an intro to this song?
Yeah, this is my friend Casey Doobie. She is an incredible singer and songwriter and just human being. And I feel like we were just saying this before. Like I feel like other people that I might show you like have already been on the show. So I'm just like they've had their moment. So I'm just going to show you somebody that I think you should check out who lives here, who's good friends of ours. Her and her husband Corin are just both fantastic. So yes, this is a song we did end of last year, beginning of this year. I forget when exactly we recorded it now. But actually, I think Tim helped write some of this too with her. But anyway, she's great. And it's just kind of this weird, like moody little song that's so interesting and introspective. And she's great.
All right. Here's Science Teacher.
My sixth grade science teacher's wife died. He posted about it online, and I couldn't sleep last night. So I'm out here on my phone, and I don't know why I'm crying. Is it empathy or 'cause I'm tired? But it's also terrifying to be old and alone. I thought you would live forever, and I would too. But in 280 characters, a universal truth. Time doesn't ask you
Hell yeah.
That's Gazy.
There's a lot of wild sounds in there.
Yeah. It was
super cool.
It was so kind of her to just like just to be like down to just kind of like get weird with that stuff, which is just I love it so much. Just getting in there and just making something that hopefully no one's ever heard before. So, and the song is
I've
just
actually
like,
heard that before.
Oh shit! All right, see you guys. I'm gonna wait in the car while you finish this out.
Us just like kind of guessing things about you. Just like, what do you think John would have thought
John
about this?
seems tall, but is he really? Who's to say?
The world will never know.
He
Yeah.
was sitting most of the time. You
Yeah.
got to take that into account.
Yeah.
That chair's a different height than these chairs.
You guys, I'm taking my socks off. I hope that's not weird, but
That's
I don't
fine.
care if it is, honestly. You both have your socks off, and I'm just like, it's a little warm.
Oh, that's true. You know what? I was like, that is kind of weird, but I was like, yeah, we're not wearing socks.
No.
Like I saw it, I'm just like, I couldn't get it warm. So
I
like,
don't ever wear shoes. on the
has
show.
anyone ever taken their socks off on an
No,
episode?
this is the first
No.
time.
One for each of you.
As long as this, like, we leave with a good taste in our mouth, we'll be like,
The taste of sock.
it'll be like, that was a great show. But, yeah, like if you end up sucking down the line, like,
That fucking guy
calling
took
us
his socks off. Like,
exactly. People will hear about that forever.
This guy took his socks off in the episode, and I hate him for it.
to be fair, I only wear flip flops on the show. I'm from San Diego, so I only wear flip flops.
Cool.
Unless it's freezing.
Yes.
But I did accidentally wear shoes in one day,
I'm so sorry.
and so I just did the show barefoot. So I was like, "There's no way I'm wearing shoes."
I got Crocs on at least.
when I don't have to.
Yeah.
I only have to at work and like weddings.
What's your take on the weather here? How long have you been here?
Five
Wait,
years?
before you guys go down the weather route, I want to ask you questions about the music for a second.
Cool.
But we're coming back to the weather, Ryan. I love talking about the weather.
I was like,
Wow.
so, okay. Let me get like too specific at first because that's where I
Sure.
want to go.
Great.
But your
Start where you
bass,
wanna go.
your
That's what I always
bass,
say.
the bass guitar sound stuck out to me as being really cool and signature.
Cool.
Yeah.
The like blah, that the thing that came in like early or the
it sounds like a bass guitar.
yeah.
Oh, Wesley
Agreed.
agrees.
Oh,
Thank
thanks,
God.
Wes.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it sounded like a bass guitar with like not a lot of highs and with some like cool saturation.
Yeah.
But what is it?
It was a keyboard. I don't remember like what exactly it started as. Some goofy like plucky patch that was like he rolled the top end off of, and yeah, probably saturated, but like just kind of had this like almost like I wanted it to almost feel like almost like a rubber bridge thing, but then not at all. So like that's perfect. Like hoping that being like, oh, what is that? Is it a guitar? Is it a bass? Is it a keyboard?
Yeah.
We don't know. That's kind of it. But like having that kind of like, because there's so much sustain elsewhere. So the thing, then there's the thing that's like kind of keying the chord changes is like this kind of like, bleh, bleh, this kind of like weird like talking instrument almost. And then you
Yeah.
have Casey's just like absolutely stunning vocals over top. She's like the most perfect singer. Like it like. In studio that maybe I've ever recorded. She's just incredible. So like,
Wow.
it's just like how having all these like weird sounds, and then like that forward front one being this kind of like strange little creature underneath like Casey's vocals. Yeah.
So how does building a track like that work for you? Because like I feel like I've heard your work via your like the artists we've had on this show, and I almost feel like I haven't heard the like all of your discography,
Sure.
like your whole thing, but I've heard like this pieces of your body work, and I feel like you have like a strong sonic signature. Like I feel like I'm as soon as I'm hearing it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is very
Cool.
you, is very John.
Sweet.
Because everything I've heard so far is like fairly minimal.
I feel like you missed a good opportunity to say it's very classy.
Classy.
Oh shit!
Ugh.
No one's ever actually used that
Oh,
joke.
Yeah,
Really?
dang it.
I'm just kidding.
I was like, there's no way. Like I have a fucked up name. I know how often people.
Minimal is not the right word, but there's usually a lot of space. There's usually like a very prominent vocal with weird shit happening around it.
Yeah.
And it's like if you don't like 33 a million,
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. God.
like that's like I feel like that's got to be a big reference for you.
Yeah.
But like your stuff seems cleaner than that. It's a little more towards like a pop route or a bedroom pop route.
Yeah.
Then
It's kind of cool. Honestly, it's cool to kind of hear this, like, just like having heard some of these other things. Like, I think like I in the past like worry about being like boxed into a corner of like, oh, you this is all you do. But at the same time, I'm like, I think that's maybe better in the long run to be able to kind of like, I want to be able to work with like a lot of different kind of artists, but to still like have a thing. Otherwise, you just kind of maybe wash out. But like my favorite producers have like a thing, or it feels like, you know, and I feel like any like successful producer, you get known for something or other. And so it's time for me to just settle into weird shit, I guess. I like weird shit in music. So, but yes, like Justin Vernon is just like a huge inspiration. I feel like Ethan Gruska, like anything he's done recently has just been like phenomenal. He did like Phoebe's newest record, and then Drew Beatty, I think, just came out with a record that's like really cool. I love John Bellion, like, and that's that kind of like pop sensibility that I also love. Like, I love getting to do because
Wesley likes John Bellion, right?
Sweet. Me and Wesley are
Wesley
like
showed me
homies
John
now.
Bellion.
Yeah.
Yes, I knew it.
So
That was who I thought was the Josh Garrels for him.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wish I could have played with John Bellion too, but alas, I couldn't. No bad things about Garrels. I just really like John Bellion. I feel like, and that's that kind of like, because I like being able to do like, I like doing like big like pop shit too, when it feels like appropriate, like,
Yeah.
and it kind
Well,
of
like-
depends on the artist too, but then pushing the envelope a little bit to
Well,
be
like
like
Abby's stuff is very big in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? I don't know what I want.
yeah,
So one thing that I feel like I hear in your like we had Abby perform that song live, and so I thought I knew what that song sounded like. Her with acoustic guitar playing it, you know, it's very like it's singer-songwritery. It's like Phoebe-ish. I'm
Yeah.
like I hear I don't know what I want, and or IDK what I want, and
Yeah.
I'm like okay, so like she's kind of like in this Phoebe direction. But then I heard the track and I'm like, what the fuck? Because that track is very what the fuck.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
very, like you're like
oh, I'm so glad to hear you say that. Yeah.
bah, 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 bah. It's like so like it's so twisted.
Yeah. I think some of that just comes from like I get just bored easily. Also, Abby is just like so game to get like weird with shit, like just which is so great. Again, because like she's such a great writer and artist and performer, and then also it's just like cool. Like let's go crazy. How about this reference? How about this thing? And so yeah, and that's like just trying to steer everyone towards that direction.
So
It's just
weird.
like,
But I hear how
weirder.
these things have different identities, and I think that's something as a producer is like you have the things that you gravitate towards
Sure.
and that you bring to it.
Yeah.
But also, and so like you
I don't want to strong
you
arm
have a perspective,
anybody.
but like you keep in your mind like where it all lives for different artists, so that
Sure.
Abby's stuff has a place that it lives, and then Casey's stuff has its own place that it lives. And so like I haven't heard of all of Casey's music yet, but if it's in that vein, then I'm like, okay, it's a little more organic than Abby.
Yeah.
The sounds, even though it has some of the same signature of like
Sure.
twisted or unique or kind of like
And that one's definitely on that end of the spectrum for her, because I produced another song for her like earlier that's just like also amazing and just not as like out there. I think with like the sounds kind of stuff,
Yeah.
which I love too. I think it just comes from I think like all those like weird kind of like jolting moments. It's just like I love movies. I love like composer stuff, and I just want to feel something every single second of the song if I can. And so like if I it's sometimes like almost like a hey, am I going too far? That's I feel like a question that I'm like trying to ask people while I'm working with them is like, hey, is this like, are we going way too far with this? Because like I will absolutely just go goofy with this shit, and then even myself just be like, that's way too much. But
and sometimes you just have to go too far.
Absolutely.
And then pull it back in. And you're like,
Absolutely.
that final layer was a bit much.
Yeah.
But then sometimes the final layer is actually the thing that's the coolest, and it's like, layers 3 through 6 can go away.
Yeah. It's just like, it's just like we're missing like one more thing, and then you just get wacky with it. And it's just like, oh, that's it. I don't know. Just like you pull up the strangest thing, and then it's like, oh, it's done. You search for it for like an hour or something like that sometimes. But yeah. So all that to say, that wasn't a bass.
Yeah. Do you do much organic instrumentation, or are you primarily in the box digital sounds? Or
so like
what's
I
your
mean
stuff like?
I cut my teeth doing like all organic stuff, like interning at the Gaither studio, like it's all rhythm sections, which I still love and would love the opportunity to like feel like I can do that again, it's just like something that costs a lot of money for artists. So
right.
But like writing charts out and then like tracking everybody like live and then just doing like overdubs and stuff like that. That's how I did like, and even like this first stuff I did with Tim and Abby, like a lot of that was like cut. Like those are all like real drums on the first iterations of those. And then like most of the things I recorded, before I got here, I feel like had just all real drums and real everything on miking up amps and stuff like that. And then I moved here, and frankly, like while that stuff like definitely has its place, like I love to shorten the amount of time between idea and getting it in the computer. And so I feel like with how great, like I just got like an amp modeling thing, because like I used to mic up amps. I have my friend's amp just like sitting in my house, beautiful sounding amp. But I'm just like, I don't want to take the time to mic this thing up if no one has ever listened to like, not no one. I feel like in recent, there's just so many great, like, for example, guitar sounds like from amp modeling that you're not mic'd up, but it sounds awesome. You'd never really know the difference, at least to me, and maybe somebody who's smarter and has a better ear than I do could. But to me, I feel like how good the technology is now. So much of that stuff.
I feel like you'd be able to, you'd know if you beat it, you could be like, oh yeah, this is the real one.
Maybe,
but it's like
this stuff is really good though now.
Oh,
like,
I'll bet you could. Like,
yeah.
Like think about I had this recently with like a keyboardist. Like
Sure.
we had Keyscape, and
Yeah.
then we had my real piano.
Yeah.
And then when you hear, what I've noticed is if you hear Keyscape, you're like, that sounds real.
Yes.
There is nothing about it that makes me think it's fake.
Yes.
No one would ever think this is fake.
Yeah.
That is real. But if you go put microphones in front of a piano and play it, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
There is something more real about this.
Sure.
And I couldn't even tell you what it is.
Yeah.
But in a track, no one will ever know or question it.
And it's just like, and it's the difference of like, it's different. Is it better?
True.
And so many times it's just like, no, sometimes it is, like so like, but yes, all that to say, definitely use like real instrumentation, a lot of that kind of stuff. But I do a lot of VSTs, and I really enjoy it too. I like just like kind of like it's all right there. I think sometimes I wish like where I am currently was maybe a little bit larger, but I don't know. I also think that like limitations breed creativity too. So it's like, all right, like,
yeah, 100%.
And then like I'm working on this record with a guy, this kind of like pop rock kind of thing, and we're just like, we think we want like real drums on this. Too bad there's no studios in Nashville. No, there's a million. So like we just like rented out a studio and hired a great drummer, and that was that. So like the times when that needs to happen, I'm like, all right, let's go to a studio. So the rest of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a thought question
Yeah.
subject music related,
Is it
which is
off this-
rare.
Off this topic?
It's related.
Okay.
Might be a little off, but we'll see. So, I enjoy weirdness in music.
Mm-hmm.
I like things that are like. I also like things like I
You're
like
kinda
aggression
weird.
in music. I like weird things. I like if something's just kind of your standard, just like radio. So I'm generally not super into it.
Sure.
But I also have this other opinion
Yeah.
from a live sound perspective,
Yeah.
which is I'm of the opinion, and I don't know if we've ever actually talked about this on the show or not.
No, probably not. Just every time we talk about music.
No, there's no way.
Not on the show.
Oh,
but
no,
you
yeah.
and me.
Yeah, we've talked about it, not on the
Yeah.
show though.
I am not privy to this information.
Yeah. Which I feel like
He's pulling his cock out!
No, I swear to God.
that if I go see somebody play live,
Uh-huh.
I expect every sound to be made live.
Oh.
and you can't do that with a lot of wild shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can to an extent with like synths and
Yeah.
When you
things.
get to Justin Vernon's level, like Bon Iver can do it live. 'Cause
Kind
you can
of.
have 16 people.
Have you seen him live?
Yeah. I mean, it's not the same.
Yeah, like
But
that's
he
what
can
I like.
do-
That's what I love about him is that he's just like, cool. Can't do this again. I guess I'll do a more interest or a different version of it
Yeah.
live, which is like a challenge in and of itself. Because I hear what you're saying. Who was I talking with today? It was in a Wright today, and talking about like there are certain instruments that hold true to that for me. Where like hearing like sometimes like hearing like strings in tracks just takes me out of the moment. Like live strings like in tracks, I'm just like, where are those coming from? It depends. It kind of
Coming
depends.
from nowhere.
Yeah. Or like, like maybe if it's just like blatantly obvious sometimes, like picking your moments.
Yeah,
But I hear,
or when there's tons of tracks.
yeah.
Like there's a whole nother song going on that's not even played on
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah. But like,
that shit drives me crazy.
but then if like, cause like a lot of people kind of like get away with doing that. I feel like it holds better. Like a lot of people I've met like go on tour with like it's them and a drummer, and then like they're running tracks and stuff like that, and like it's a big like pop thing, and I can see where that would be like annoying to a lot of people, but to me it like works fine because maybe it's just like if you saw somebody playing those parts, A, you can't, and B, it's just this.
Right. But it's like, I don't know. There's
yeah,
something
Like,
about
we
just,
got
like,
a
the
guy on
pre-record.
for your shit. It'd have to be like there's a guy on stage who's like breaking twigs on triplets.
Wouldn't we love
You know
to
what?
see
That would
that?
be a great live show. That'd be amazing.
Like that guy's got to stock a lot of twigs.
But then you got to pay the twig breaking guy.
Right.
You got to order the twigs.
Yeah, that's an expensive guy to take out. There's not many of those twig breakers either. What do you do? Oh, I'm a twig breaker in Nashville.
Like maybe he'd find a way to like have a twig that you've like taped in a certain way that you
Yeah.
can keep
You can re-break.
breaking and re-breaking it over and over again. And
It's like one of those like glow in the dark lights or whatever. You just kind of break a section of it every like
exactly.
slowly throughout the song, and then you're tossing them out in the crowd. See, just think on your feet there.
I love this. Now you need to put somebody breaking a glow in the dark stick on the song.
Oh, that's absolutely. I will buy one of those very soon and make that happen. I think that's been like the kind of
You might want to buy more than one. You might get it the first time.
no, it's just one
But a whole
time.
pack. Like, probably like $4. Like,
Well, you break those things that get everywhere. But like that's been kind of like a thing. Like I used to have like a kind of turn my nose up at Splice kind of thing, like feeling, and then I just stopped because that's feels ridiculous. Where I'm just like, well, this is just like a tool to manipulate stuff. So like sometimes I'll just be like, there's so many sounds that'll be just like, hey, somebody just say a word, and someone will be like squirrel, and I'll find like a squirrel sample on Splice and be like, how do we use this? Like, do we vocode it? Do we turn it into like a snare or something like that? And then it's just like one element that you cannot possibly like get from somebody else's like song. Like, oh, that's the same thing, or that's the same sound from this. It's just like, oh, that's the squirrel snare that we made for this song, or this was something else. Like, and there's stuff like all over like that where you just kind of like, I like using it for that, or just being like, all right, just like sing something or like play something, and then we'll just like tune the piano to one note and just hear all the artifacts happening, and then pick out a couple that we like, and then turn that into a loop. There's a bunch of stuff that I've like a bunch of songs I've done that stuff with. Where just like, and I'm sitting there for like, here's a piano track. I'll put some like little altar boy thing on there, which is just the plugin.
yeah.
And just hit like the robot mode and set it to the key, and then just like commit it, and then just like, and of course like it sounds bad when you play it back all at once, but
Yeah.
there's a couple little samples where maybe it'll freak out in a certain way. I'm like, that's kind of cool, and you'll just like save that one down, and then you just turn it into some weird just loop to like throw into the song, and it's like this element that's like, it's not an instrument that exists, it's just something that you created inside of there, and I like that shit.
Yeah.
So, and that's on that song, that's on a lot of stuff. I feel like that does it now. But again, like knowing when to throw that stuff in, and knowing when it's just like, okay, I'm just like being weird for the sake of being weird on this, which isn't always necessarily good. Like, you need to serve the song first and foremost, and then serve the artist too. And like okay, like artist first and then song, but like, because the thing that you might think is like great for the song, the artist may not, and you like, but who am I to think that like every idea that I have is the correct one, because that doesn't exist. So just like learning to kind of like come up with new ideas, and just like there's tons of stuff we can do on this here, just like trusting your gut, and hopefully somebody's working with you or me or whoever, because they already kind of trust your like intuition on stuff.
Yeah.
But then everybody's different. Everybody works differently too. So just like knowing when to like push and when to kind of like back off too. So
What's so interesting for me is this, like what you're talking about, squirrel sounds and the rest, like that was very much a lot of what I was very into in production until just the last few years, and I don't know exactly why it shifted. I kind of know, I guess just in my own story, I think it shifted because I started working with some bands that were doing some more kind of organic things.
Yeah.
And I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole of like natural tape, performance-based acoustic instruments, and like I've moved in towards a more like retro style.
Yeah.
And so I kind of have left behind the esoteric shit.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate it in your music because I'm like, this is so fucking dope. And I used to be my favorite thing to do.
And next week
And
I'll be
just-
over it.
It's just not my like the phase I happen to be in at the moment.
I think that's it. Like everybody goes through that. Like you watch artists through the decades doing that kind of stuff, and like I feel like every person in their own right is an artist of some sorts. But like you get really into pad thai for like a month, and then you are into like pepperoni pizza again. It's just like the same thing's going to hold true. I think.
Never not into pepperoni pizza.
Okay, that's same dude. My first tattoo.
But the mentality and that like creative outside of the box thinking, that more kind
Yeah.
of sound design component
Yeah.
can make its way into other things.
Yeah.
Now I had a weird thought that I've never had before while you were talking, and you said you like to have things that as fast as you can get the go from idea to into the computer. And so then you were saying like ant modeling being one example of a way that by keeping things quick, you can get the idea out quicker and keep that kind of rapid flow of production.
Yeah.
Totally relate, totally get it, totally have heard that before. For the first time ever, my brain made this weird connection though when you said that as like a counterpoint.
Yeah.
Not saying that that's not true because like just like you said, I think
There's no right or wrong on it.
exactly. I think that's the beauty of production and art is like if you have like one mentality you use to how do you make decisions,
Yes.
that's great. But the exact opposite mentality also makes cool shit too
Absolutely.
in a different way.
I feel like you just like follow your intuition, and then or like set some parameters for yourself and just be like, I am going to just do this on this record or like on this song or
Yes.
this kind of thing. Like,
And that's how you give an artist an identity.
yeah,
Is
Yep.
by, like, and so those kind of I love you said parameters. Like,
Yeah.
this album has these parameters, and that's what makes it its thing.
Yes.
So here's my weird counterpoint idea.
Yeah.
Against speed.
Yeah.
Like in favor of a slower analog, acoustic instrument kind of a thing
Yeah.
where it takes some time to mic and whatever.
Yeah.
So in a few months ago, I heard a excerpt from either John Lennon or Paul McCartney.
Who? I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's fucking old British guys. they one of them said that back in the day, I'm sure it was probably Paul, that back in the day they didn't have any audio recorders when they were kids writing songs.
Yeah.
So their songs had to be memorable. And so they would write a song, like love, love me do, I love you.
Yeah.
Like hold me to whatever. Like they had to remember it. If it wasn't memorable, it wasn't sticking
was
around.
gone.
It was gone. And so I think there might on the opposite side be something to a slower process.
Yeah.
Meaning I have a cool idea for a guitar part. Awesome. Let me grab the amp. Let me hook up the pedals.
Sure.
Let me put up the mic. Let me get you the sound. Okay. All right. What was that cool idea? And they're like, I kind of fucking forgot. Was that idea very good? And it was like, okay, what is the essence of the idea you're even bringing to the table anyway? It's like,
Sure.
oh, we wanted a slidey guitar. What do you remember? Well, it was like, beam. Well, that was the good part. The part you forgot
Is the part that doesn't matter. I
didn't
guess.
matter, apparently.
Totally.
So,
totally. I think it also like depends on like the type of record you're making too. Like that's the other thing where like I would love to like I mean you've heard like I feel like you've heard Abby's newest stuff.
Yeah.
Her previous EP was not like that at all. It was all live instrumentation. Like that was I mean there's some things that are kind of like morphed, but like real drums, real bass, real acoustic, real electrics, all that kind of stuff, mic'd up amps, everything like that. And then kind of like some like little elements of like weirdness kind of thing. And it's just like it's kind of like knowing what you're getting yourself into, because I wouldn't want to make like a Dawes record in my house. Well, no, that'd be kind of cool because it'd be like, well, you haven't done that before, so that'd be kind of like, that'd be interesting. But also, like, you know what I'm saying, where like knowing what you're getting yourself into, being like, this is the type of record I'm making. Well, let's like again parameters. Let's make decisions based on like, what do you, the artist, want to make? Do you want to make something that sounds like, Adam Melcher, or do you want to make something that sounds like Bon Iver, or do you want to make something that sounds like Dolly Parton? Do you want what are you starting after? And then because I wouldn't make a Dolly Parton record the way that I made. Well, again, it'd be kind of cool to say, I would, but doubtfully she would want something like that. I don't know why I picked Dolly Parton, except for she's amazing. But just you're gonna probably go in and get a studio and do it like that. And I also love that. And again, just being able to track stuff live, there's also something to be said about that too. I do miss it sometimes. Again, I just feel like it has to be the right kind of artist, because I feel like I used to record a lot of singer-songwriter alt or Americana kind of stuff, and that was all tracked hey, we are charting this out. We've got I hired a drummer and a bass player and a guitar player and a keyboard player for everything, and new things happen like that where everyone's reading the same chart, and then we're making fixes based on the entire band playing the whole thing down and being okay, let's take out a bar there, let's change this chord, let's build this up a little bit more. And it's all that's completely different than the way I'm doing stuff currently right now. But yeah, making those decisions, setting those parameters.
What space you have
dictates
a lot of that.
And again, what does the artist want? I mean, I don't want to strong arm anybody into making something that they don't like. So, and I'm sorry if anyone's felt that I have, because I'm not trying to. I just
and I think you have to have that time too, because I think I had that time. I'm not saying you're in this time now, but I'm saying I did personally have a time 7-8 years ago where a lot of the people I was working with were very beginner.
Yeah.
And I was, whatever, a little further down the road as being a producer than they might have been as an artist.
Sure.
And so helping them to get to something that I was this is sick.
Yeah.
I didn't yet know, I definitely had, I had a few people that were felt I made, it was my record more than it was theirs.
Sure.
And I hated that feeling.
Yeah.
And so then I spent several years
from it.
figuring out how to not do that.
And also be okay with being okay, maybe not everything you do is going to be your favorite. It's just not it. So learning to be okay, I heard this quote, and I'm not sure how trite it actually is, but I think there's some truth to it, of just art's never finished, it's only abandoned kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And and that's true on even stuff that you love, because you could always just change something, but are we making it better, or are we just changing it? And so at a certain point you have to be cool, we have to just let it go. And then some of that might just be maybe I would have done this differently, but it's not my music. And until it is, then I have to be cool, what do you want this to be? I'll give you everything I've got, but you have to tell me, and I have to be okay with being even if I think this is great and your idea is not as great or something like that, then just living with that. Because also, I'm just another person in 8 billion that has an opinion about music.
Right.
So,
and it's kind of also as you develop your own identity as a producer and have, and there's a range, we're talking about the weird shit right now, but you're also, I want to highlight what you are also saying, which is that you've also done the live stuff.
Yeah, and I love it.
You have this range, but there's going to be sort of an identity to all of it. And as you encounter artists, the further you go on, the more you're working with artists who hear something you did and liked it, and that's kind of the perspective they want.
Yeah,
and so
you start to attract each other a little bit more.
You start attracting your people, and your people kind of want what you do.
Yeah, yeah. And then eventually you get sick of what you do, and you're just I think I'm going to be a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Many sleepless nights just this is all bullshit, and I'm just going to stop.
Now, we've gone far down the music rabbit hole, so I wanted to throw you a bone. I knew what your brain was thinking about 10 minutes ago, talking to jury for the audio-only listeners. About 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, John said, I like movies. And I was like,
I did immediately.
Jury is honing in on this and wants to talk about movies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not particularly.
I do.
I don't know how much you love movies.
I love them.
No,
I'm not going to say I'm some genius movie critic. I just love watching movies.
No, I am a genius movie critic.
Okay, cool.
So.
Then you probably know way more than me.
I am a banana.
Oh my God. That just tickled the back of my brain. I've not heard that sound sample in forever. I live in a giant bucket. Oh my God.
You just get some.
That's what we're here for.
What is it?
For the nostalgia.
Yeah. Do you have a Homestar Runner thing on there?
I don't think we have any Homestar Runner things
I don't
on
think we
there.
do. I don't think we do.
Man, a little Trogdor
But-
action would be dope.
But we have.
Titty sprinkles.
What is it? Titty sprinkles?
Titty sprinkles. Yeah.
That's what they called me in high school. Which is weird because I was homeschooled. Mom, stop calling me that.
I have no idea where that sound effect actually comes from. But
No, were you homeschooled?
Yeah.
What's funny is on the last episode we just released was Timothy Edward Carpenter, and he mentioned, and I totally forgot we talked about this, but he mentioned in the episode that like all of the people that are like a part of this friend group were all homeschooled.
Oh man, that's so depressing.
And he was using
we
it.
found each other.
You
Weird,
did.
Gross.
He was using it as an example, or he said like he was in favor of homeschool. He's like, I think homeschoolers are going to rule the world, and he was like, Abby Holliday and her brother, they're both homeschooled. They're really good at what they do.
yeah, let's get into homeschooling for a second then.
My wife went to public school, so that's
Movies,
where my
DVD.
like cool cred comes from.
Every homeschooler has to adopt a public schooler to help make them cool.
So a lot of people, especially nowadays, I feel like are really pro homeschool. And it's like growing more and more. It grew during COVID and people, and all this. And I think that homeschooling can be fine. It can be great.
Yeah. It's like how do you check that? You know, it's like because I know some people who had like great experiences with it and are like further in life because they're allowed to pursue their like passions like in high school, you know, which is great. And then I know a ton of people whose lives are ruined because they were homeschooled and just like can't function.
Well, like so I worked with kids for a long time, and then I worked in a lot of colleges.
Yeah.
And from my experience working with lots and lots of homeschooled people, 8 out of 10 times, they're fucking weird for it. Yeah. Like, they don't know how to be social. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to... I know you tried to adjust that, but you moved like a foot to the right of my face.
Well, figure out how it can be in front of your mouth.
They just don't know how to be.
Yeah.
And in the world. And then 1 out of 10 times they're completely normal. And then the other one, they're like actually something really cool.
Yeah.
Like because
Case study. There was a homeschooler who was in I used to lead a youth group, and I was like the adult leader, and they were high schoolers.
We all did, didn't we?
Didn't we? And one of the kids, Wesley would know who it was because Wesley used to be in the same group as him. Anyway, he grew up, and all of a sudden he's popped up onto my Facebook, which I go to for Marketplace.
It's same. Oh yeah, Marketplace is the only reason I get it.
Marketplace
Oh, God,
is so much better than Craigslist. So
Yes.
Facebook has just turned into Craigslist.
Yes.
Well, Craigslist is trash now, so it's just a disaster.
So all of a sudden, this kid, I won't say his name even though I want to, because Wesley would know, but he.
I don't care about academics, Wes. I care about social.
He's been posting on Facebook, and
Thanks,
I guess he got into like that kind of Christianity that's like really loves Jewish people and like wants to be Jewish. And I love Jewish people. I
Wait,
worked with a Jewish client
What
today. It's great.
denomination is that, Ryan?
Huh?
What denomination
Like,
is that?
well,
It's
okay.
more of like a
There's
weird infatuation. I feel like that happens.
Yes, it does. Exactly. So he's like readopted certain things that are more like Old Testament.
Sure.
Like things that Orthodox Jews do.
Sacrificing lambs and...
No. So here's the one maybe, I don't know, but here's the one he posted the other day. And I could show you guys the picture, but he posted, it was basically about don't eat shellfish.
Oh.
And he had a whole post about,
Pass.
I will continue eating shellfish. It's
Look at this.
delightful.
it was
so
scales and fins only. And it showed a fish. You can see there's a fish at top.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to eat that apparently.
Is there a spider on there?
So they're comparing
Ocean spider.
crabs. It says crab. Abomination equals spider. Crab equals spider.
Also, I would 1,000% eat a spider.
Okay,
Shrimp.
first of all...
That's another subject. I
That
wanna
is
talk
not
about.
okay. You got to draw a line somewhere, and I feel like I would try...
There's a whole thing. We as a society are not eating enough bugs. Other
that's-
cultures do it.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Crabs.
What is a
shrimps,
lobster
and
bug?
lobsters.
Okay, yeah. But
That's
it's
what he's saying.
But it's a sea bug. It's different. Look.
You're just coming up on the not abomination side.
It's just... Okay. Spiders... I understand. Okay, I can understand a bug
Yeah.
with a lot of protein, but I feel like
Spiders
spider
have
crosses a line.
Oh, people, there's like cultures that eat spiders.
Which one?
60% of the times, it works
Eating
every time.
eating a spider. Don't eat certain spiders.
like, if I was
I'm
in-
absolutely speculating, but I'm fairly certain that like if we were to, hey, Wes, can you look up who will eat
I'm
spiders?
sure they.
This is the most
it's like
homeschool
Jay-
shit.
I really want you to
They
search
will eat
exactly
spiders.
who eats spiders.
But
John, you are a homeschooler right now. Your wife is ashamed. She's like, what did we talk about?
don't tell everybody you want to eat spiders. Nobody likes that.
Oh man, yeah. I feel like John's talking about eating fucking bugs again.
Well, my wife bought a cricket powder.
I have crickets
flour.
that
Flour.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
And she made some cookies with it.
See?
And I was
Were they
like,
gross?
I'm not touching those cookies. I
you
tried
try?
one bite and I was just like, this does not taste like a chocolate chip cookie.
It tastes like
I
a
don't know if it
cricket.
tastes like crickets or not because I've never eaten crickets.
yes, you have.
But I have now. But it tastes not right. Something about this is wrong.
I feel like if you did something savory with it, you know, if
Okay.
you breaded chicken with it and fried it, like
Yeah,
I
some
just zoom
breaded
out
some
real
chicken
quick.
with some
with
crickets.
cricket flour.
With some
If we
cricket
could
flour.
zoom out, you guys,
Yeah.
we were talking about homeschooling, and I said, as an example of homeschoolers being weird, here's my friend who's saying you shouldn't eat shellfish because
he's
they
like, "But
equal
spiders are
bugs.
dope."
And here another homeschooler chimes in, no, you should eat
We
bugs.
should eat more bugs.
And it's the
Eat
equal but
more
opposite
bugs.
equal but opposite weird opinion.
That's definitely what this episode is called now.
Because
Eat more
you're-
bugs.
Yeah.
Because your teacher was your mom.
Yeah. She did not tell me to eat more bugs. That's just something I decided.
It's just
on.
something you
But
just-
it literally is a thing. Like in other cultures,
It
like
totally is.
people eat bugs, and it's like it's cheap and it's like high in protein.
Sure.
They're good for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Eat more bugs.
Sure. I mean, eventually we will all be eating bugs unless we perfect.
I hope so.
Lab beef,
Yeah.
but which they're working on.
Yeah.
You know, I'll eat lab beef over eating a spider any day.
Impossible and like Impossible Burgers they slap.
I tried it. I tried I tried
You don't like it?
Beyond.
I tried one.
I tried the Beyond, and that one tastes like shit.
That one's not as good. The Impossible's better.
I did the Burger King Impossible.
That's where I tried it too.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Oh wait,
I think that's Impossible.
Whatever Burger King did, I had theirs, and
That's
I was like,
impossible.
this was a waste.
Oh, you didn't like it?
Made me unhappy.
Oh no, I liked it.
To be fair, it was also
you had a
Burger
visceral
King.
Yeah.
reaction of
Yeah.
hatred.
But also, to be fair, you would eat bugs.
And
so
also, to be fair, Burger King is the worst major fast food chain of all of them.
that's
You
true.
just pissed somebody off. I don't know. It's not me, but it's somebody.
The king himself.
I think it was better when we were kids. Like in the 90s,
Could have been.
my dad loved Burger King. We always
Yeah.
went to Burger King. I loved Burger King charbroiled. Like that was great.
It fell off. at
Did
some
they
point.
go downhill or
He's
did
got the
we?
Impossible Whopper pulled up there. Oh, did we find out who eat bugs? Who eat
He did.
bugs?
He put it on the screen for a second. But,
Who eat bugs?
Tell me who
I
eat
think
bugs.
we were all yelling at each other.
yeah. Don't eat bugs. Eat bugs.
But no, I don't know. I don't know about all that. But
Yeah.
it's the thing is, if I was like, let's say I was in another country
Yeah.
that served on the menu
Yeah.
Bugs.
cats,
Yeah.
I'd try that.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I don't like cats, but
Oh.
even if I did, now
See, you'd rather eat a cat than a
no,
cricket.
I wouldn't eat someone's cat.
No, but you would. I'm saying you
like
would
a
eat
farm-raised
a cat.
like a meat-raised cat.
What about a meat-raised cricket?
Grass fed.
Meat-raised cricket. That can't. I just. Well, 'cause but the difference is I wouldn't eat someone's pet cat because it's a pet.
What if I had a pet cricket?
I wouldn't eat a cricket because that's nasty.
Jimmy.
I wouldn't eat him. I wouldn't eat him. It's your pet.
Well, then, but a different. But all that aside, you would eat a cat, but not a cricket.
Right. Now, I do think when I was younger, I did used to say that I would like to one day try dog.
Yeah.
But now I cannot.
I don't
I
necessarily
love
want
dogs
to.
way too
I don't
much for
necessarily
that.
want to, but if it was like in the right situation, somebody's just like it's already made.
Right. You're at a dog restaurant.
I'd be like, this is so
Okay.
bizarre now.
Literally, this guy.
now it's bizarre.
That guy, the nerdy homeschooler
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
telling
yeah.
you about, that's now into Leviticus era shellfish rules. He posted in
Great
his
band name.
in his post.
because there are shellfish rules.
Welcome to Denny's.
He in his post was like, "You guys say you won't eat cats and dogs, but you'll eat shellfish, but they're like spiders."
That logic does not track.
This whole-
the line of reasoning just falls apart.
Oh yeah, I didn't say I liked his post,
Just said that it exists.
and this all just proved the point. We were talking about homeschool.
Oh
which
yeah,
was-
yeah. Oh, and like, what are you?
you're
Here's my
putting-
other thought about it.
Your point is that it's bad.
Well, here's
No,
my.
I don't think it's always bad. I
Well,
think it's statistically usually bad.
Here's the other thing. It's just there's like
For socially,
I don't know.
not
Oh
academics.
yeah, yeah. That's the other thing. I think sometimes to me when I think about it, I'm just like, how do school teachers feel about it? Or like they had to go to school, pay money to get go through this like process of accreditation to become a school teacher.
Yeah. Meanwhile, mom over here.
Yeah, who's just like, yeah, like it could.
I graduated high school.
Yeah, like it could be like, okay, now, yeah, exactly. It kind of feels like, well,
Are you qualified?
yeah. So
No.
I don't know.
You're not. You're not qualified. Not only you're not qualified because of the knowledge that you don't have, but you're not qualified because of the skills you don't have.
Sure.
I hope John's mom is listening right now.
Well, maybe
and she hates
your
you.
mom is dope at it. I don't know. I mean, you seem all right. I like you. You know.
Yeah.
You don't seem like one of the super.
Well, we also
socially
had
can't handle it guys.
We also had like one of those like, and I feel like most homeschooler has like the homeschool co-op experience too, where you go once to 2 or 3 times a week to your homeschool co-op. It's not school, it's a co-op where like somebody who's hopefully accredited is like teaching you. Like I learned like all my like math and science from this guy who like used to teach in the public school system, and then he started this like, it must have been a side business, like teaching kids like math and science, homeschool kids math and science a couple days a week, which as I'm explaining it, it's just like, what the fuck? But I had some great memories there, and he was, he did go through
You
that.
had some great experiences at your normal school experience.
Yeah.
Where you got to meet other people.
Yeah, where I got to meet other homeschool people with man we give check to for knowledge.
Yeah, I don't know.
It is like when I think about it and actually talk about it out loud, I'm just like,
It's a little weird.
it's
What the hell is even that?
Yeah. That's what I'm like.
Yeah, but I'm not. Now, to be clear, I'm not like super anti-homeschool.
You can be. I won't be
I
offended.
just have met way too many to be super pro-homeschool.
Sure.
You know
what
what I mean?
That makes total sense.
Like it's a real hard. Like my wife has been like, maybe we have kids. Maybe we should homeschool. And I'm just like, look, she is a qualified teacher. Like she worked as a teacher.
Yeah. See, in that
And
case,
even-
it's just like that makes sense.
And even
maybe.
then, I'm like, maybe we don't. Maybe we need like 7 or 8 teachers trying this out with this kid, not just one person.
Sure, doing all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe stick them with a bunch of other people their age so they can like grow as humans too.
Yeah.
Because that's the argument I always hear is, well, test scores are high for homeschool kids.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of cases where they ain't.
Sure.
But also, let's be real, in the actual reality of the world, what's more important?
Yeah. I don't.
Your social aspects
Yeah.
or your academic?
Because I think we can all attest to like college degrees being like, why?
College is a straight scam.
I'm
Unless
curious.
you're a teacher or a lawyer,
lawyer,
or
a
like
doctor,
if you have
yeah.
to get an accredited, like
All
I got a
for it.
music business degree, and I'm just like, again, kind of
Yeah.
back what we were talking about. Like, why didn't I just like
Do
start
music.
doing music?
Yeah, I have
Because-
a degree in applied behavioral sciences. The fuck does that even mean?
It's like when you apply.
Yeah, it's psychology. That's what it is. It's psychology with a fancier name. It's just,
Now, I would like to hear some, because you've gone pretty hard. I would like to hear some good things about homeschool.
I did say, well, I said
so
two good things.
real quick, just to help
bottle.
prime the pump. I'm going to say this to you: homeschool is bad, and it should never be done.
Oh, you just
You should
know
never-
I'm devil's advocate. So
You should never homeschool a child.
Look,
it is evil.
the
Go-
two things that I do have said are
what do you
good
got to
already
say to that, devil?
is one, I do think that some people turn out fine, but also I
Not
do
me.
think that every once in a while, I'm saying 10%. That's not researched.
Sure.
That
60% of the time, it works
that actually is applicable.
every time.
Homeschooling.
Homeschooling.
It's still not enough.
More like 10, but is that I do think it does, for the right person in the right situation, lend to an opportunity to explore things you might not otherwise have a chance.
Sure.
And can produce really cool things.
Yeah.
But that's rare.
And it's just really varied on like, like how are you supposed to like regulate that and
Right.
make sure that like.
Like, are you homeschooled because your parents are traveling you all over the world
Yeah.
and you're meeting all these cultures and
Yeah.
doing all these amazing things? In that case, fucking go for it.
Yeah.
Because that is going to be way better than any experience you can get in a classroom.
Sure.
But if you are
I was
just
homeschooled
like,
because my parents didn't want me to believe in evolution.
see, that's
Joke's
not
on
a good
you.
reason.
I do. I was literally working at my church when I was literally working at my church, sitting at my desk. This is like, I wish it was longer ago, but it was probably like 10, 11 years ago, where I was finally just like, just read this article in my church. I'm just like, evolution's real. Which I'm ashamed that it took me until I feel like I was like 22 to be like, I think I like did but I just didn't like one of the things you just like dirty laundry. You're just like, okay, I'm gonna get to that eventually because I was brought up being like the Earth is 8,000 years old. Ken Ham is the prophet.
Ken
And,
Ham. I was talking about
Ham.
Ken Ham the other day, and I couldn't remember his name.
Yes, Ken Ham.
I still have his
saw
book.
him speak in person.
He spoke at our church every year
Yeah.
at this event, and I went into his workshop. And
Terrifying.
I loved it. 'cause
John,
I was like,
are you trying to make a monkey out of me?
somebody's trying to make a monkey out of me? Yeah. Or someone trying to make a monkey out of you.
Something like that.
I still own it. I still have that book.
I still love watching these TikToks of like Ken Ham showing Bill Nye around the Creation Museum and Bill Nye just spitting fire on him the entire time.
Now, Bill Nye is not a scientist.
No. But at least, but he's,
But even him.
but yeah, it's just like that'd be like you're like. But he's like, are you saying that like rocks have a date on them? And Bill Nye's just like, yes.
like it's scientifically proven.
It's just carbon dating. Duh.
That's the thing with that whole like 8 to 10,000 years old.
Yeah.
Is I'm just like, look,
Young
if
Earth
you
creation.
want to
Yes.
believe that, like if you're
I
trying
like
to,
you.
well,
You have balls. I like balls.
Walls around my belief system of young Earth creations. Sorry.
no, the
He said balls.
Oh, damn it. Balls around my belief
I accept it. I accept it.
Big hairy balls around your beliefs.
It's if you can let go of the age thing. Like if you just want to say there was no evolution,
Yeah.
because technically it is a theory.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
like it's but
Yeah.
I mean, okay. But if you want to say, I don't believe we came from monkeys, I can accept that.
Sure.
If you want to say, that God created everything, obviously I can accept that. All
Yeah.
these things there's a lot of things
Yeah.
I can accept. But when you say the Earth is 8 to 10,000 years old, and we have so much evidence that there's not, it's not a theory.
I think the thing that always like bugs me is like, why that number specifically?
I know why, actually.
Well,
Math.
but then also sure math.
As
is
you
just
math back to Genesis, as far
yeah.
as generations are concerned, that's what you get.
true. I think it's
It's also
like
the end of the Younger Dryas period, which is the end of the last ice age,
oh, interesting.
which is where people believe that modern human civilization started.
Which is what, like 250,000 years ago or something?
No, 8 to 10,000 years.
Oh,
ago.
really?
Yeah, the end of the last ice age was
Oh,
that
my
was
God.
when like modern civilization, or they
Yeah.
say like organized or advanced civilization
Sure.
started. I guess I don't know all the details. You got to watch.
You know more than I do. This is fantastic.
But they called it the Younger Dryas.
Okay.
And the running theory is that there was no advanced civilization prior to that,
Okay.
that ice age. There's a great documentary
The
series.
end
on
of the
Netflix
last
right
ice
now.
age was 10,000 years ago ish.
Yeah.
This is don't homeschool your kids. I didn't know that.
See? I didn't go to homeschool.
I
To be
don't know.
fair-
I'm not going to say that
to be fair,
definitive
I
statement
learned that from
either.
a documentary series like 6 months ago.
Okay, cool.
Which you should watch. It's on Netflix, and it's super controversial because of these thoughts that there
Okay.
could have been advanced civilization prior to that.
Cool.
Called Ancient Apocalypse. It's great. Check it out.
Oh, I probably will. That sounds
It's
great.
it's really good.
Yeah. I think I had this argument with my dad. I'm just like, okay, like, so what if the Earth is like, 4.1 billion years old or something like
Sure.
that? Like, if God is infinite, why would that?
Like that shouldn't matter.
Well, yeah,
That's fine.
that's nothing. That's nothing to this infinitesimal.
Like he could have made it
yeah.
then. He could have made it now.
Yeah, it's basically nothing. Or like the whole idea of time being like a chalkboard. You can just point to different points on it. It's not actually like a thing that's happening to an omnipotent being or something like that.
Or the thing that gets me is like the stars, right? The light we see from the stars.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the star might be dead how old this thing is.
Yes.
And like, so is your theory that God created it with the light like already like on its way?
Yeah.
Like is
That's
that your theory?
100% some people's theory.
It 100%
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
that just seems
Yeah.
so like that's nonsensical.
Which
to me.
I can't prove that you're wrong.
Right. And that's like the hard part.
Yeah.
And the argument I hear a lot, and I know because as like a middle schooler, like gung ho,
Yeah.
grew up in the church Christian, I made this argument a lot.
Yeah.
Which is, well, where did it start? It had to start from something, right?
No, I don't know.
I don't know. That's the real answer. Is I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Like,
It didn't have to.
it
No.
didn't, I guess it didn't have to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it did. But like that. But in the end, that's the dumbest like straw man argument there ever was. Like, there's no answer to this.
Yeah. Yeah. And does it really
Matter
matter
in any way.
in the end? Does it even matter? Linkin Park
I tried so hard.
got so far.
This has been a Linkin Park moment.
You raised your
Yeah.
hand.
2001.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best thing ever. Just like raising your hands to non-worship songs as worship
it
songs. So
Non-working song.
There's this
I feel like you had to grow up in the church for
There's
that to
this-
like
no.
hit right.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
There's this this CCM kid that I met very briefly, and he does a pretty funny series. I guess it's TikTok, but it's like Christian accidentally walked into an atheist church, and and the songs are like just slightly changed, like. So there's a worship song. It's like, oh, there's nothing better than you, and so he just bleeps out some of the words. So he's like raising his hands, worshiping, and it's all, oh, there's nothing. And he just starts like looking around awkwardly, like, oh, I'm in the wrong church, and starts backing up.
I think all that to say too, like I feel like I have this conversation with a lot of people I think from similar backgrounds too. Or like there are some people in my life that talk about God that I'm just like that. Yeah, that makes sense, and it's actually some of the best people that I've ever met.
They're
like kind of,
are they like logical, reasonable humans who are like pretty intelligent?
Yeah, but and also some of the most generous, kind people of all time, and also like the way that they talk about God like makes sense to me because it's one of those things where like if I'm being honest, like I don't know if I like disbelieve in God. But I think I've used that metaphor and I've used it 1,000 times where I'm just like it feels like that. I find there's so much value. There can be so much value in that like system. Maybe not so much in. I have a lot of problems with like the Western kind of church. No one's ever saw that before. And
I was like,
wow,
I say that literally every day of my life.
Yeah, you just wake up. There's a problem.
Everyone who grew up in the church and is currently not attending says that every day.
Yes. So it's like, okay, like, and I feel like COVID really brought that to light too, where that was just
it really kind of brought it to a head.
Yeah. And so I think Wes is nodding. And so we know it's true. I feel like, so there's some people in my life that like, that believe in God and that I'm just like, I think that you might be right sometimes. Like, and then like a lot of the time too, it's just like, well, if I do believe in something, I know, and like I've known this for a long time. Like I feel like I've gone through like kind of a second like reorientation of like where I am with all of spirituality and recently. And I mean, definitely like a big portion when I was like in college, you know, just like meeting like people, frankly, who are gay, and then being like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with you."
like, oh, you're just like a person.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, that was wrong. Like, so
that was a big thing for me too.
Yeah, and
I went
like,
to college, and I was like, oh, like this is fine.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh wow, like this is, and like being at a Christian school too. I'm like, this is awful for you. Like,
why is everyone so mean?
This shouldn't be awful for you. You should just be allowed to like. Be yourself.
Do whatever. Yeah. Plus, aren't all sins the same? Like one sin's a balance the same as the other. Why do we treat?
Is that biblical?
But is it like there's
also what is it? Oh, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well,
I don't know what I was getting to necessarily. Like, there's like I find value in it, and like there's like I still like have a lot of friends that like that. I think believe more for sure in God than I do. And I think they're just like the most amazing people ever, but it's just maybe not the people that I grew up with, or a lot of the people that I grew up with, or the ways I grew up in. I don't know.
Well, I've had a big mentality shift over the last few years.
Yeah.
In this regard.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in the church.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just a little fool of myself, but I think it's a pretty unique perspective.
Okay, hold on.
Do you have a button for that?
Yeah, I'll help you.
Give me. All right.
It's a unique perspective.
Thank you.
All right, let's hear all about this.
Here's my unique perspective.
Can you do it in the form of a TED Talk?
I cannot. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
How about a Theodore talk?
Just say "as it turns out" a lot, and then it'll be a TED Talk.
Yeah.
Why do I feel important just doing this a lot?
So no, you should. Yeah. So if somebody asks me, like, "Are you a Christian?" I say, "Yes, I am. I am a Christian." But I am a Christian because I have decided to be it. I have made the decision that I grew up in this, and I believe it.
Sure.
But I also recognize that other people believe different things.
Yeah.
And I recognize that science is real.
Yes.
And that if you ignore that, then everything you believe is bullshit.
Sure.
But if people ask me, are you a Christian? I say, absolutely, I'm a Christian. I grew up as a Christian. I'm a Christian. I believe Christian things. But I have a lot of things I disagree with.
Okay.
And my biggest problem with the Western Church, as you say, is that they're not willing to
accept science.
Yeah. And they're not willing to change things that they believe when there is evidence to the other. So
Wouldn't that make God more beautiful too?
Right? Like if he created science, right?
Yeah.
He created science, created
Under
the way
that
things
umbrella.
that work, the way that the physical world works.
Describe what you mean by science, because like the literalist in me wants to be like, science is actually a methodology. God didn't create science because it's a methodology.
Okay, were you homeschooled?
That's some homeschool shit right there. No, but
Do you mean like
scientific
the
things that have been proven scientifically.
But even there, I would be like, just my devil's advocate from spending years with your devil's advocate would be like, nothing's officially proven. But
Some
do you
things
mean, or they're known as far,
or maybe just accepting the fact that we haven't figured it all out.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's maybe like the more prevailing thing in the church is just like, oh, this is what's right. And it's just like, we don't fucking know that.
Like maybe you got some shit right.
Yeah.
Maybe. But but be open to truth.
What do you like? So you said, do you consider yourself a Christian?
Yeah, I do.
Cool.
I mean, I don't go to church.
Okay, cool. Like that's we haven't been to church since we moved here.
Yeah, I've been
and
to
I think
3 times.
And we felt like I myself, I should say, have felt like a lot of like guilt about that. And like I told my mom we have it, and she was very like she didn't like say it, but like look on her face, she was kind of upset, which was.
That was the wrong sound effect for that moment.
That was the
not.
perfect one. No, that was so fucking good.
I had this point when I said it.
My mom was disappointed in me. Big whoop. Bam! What else is new? Mic drop. I can't.
Did you watch Parks and Recreation?
Oh yeah, dude. Muncie's a real place. Great beer bar there. One of my favorite bars. It's 30 minutes from Anderson.
Oh wow.
Oh,
So
shit.
think of Pawnee. That's Anderson. 100%.
Oh.
That city.
Oh, wow.
It's like. There's no money and it's kind of dumpy, but like, why do I love it here? And then like Muncie is a real place with Ball State University and like one of the best beer bars maybe the best I've ever been to.
With your reaction to that air horn, like that's how you react to your mom, is very John Ralphia.
Mom, and he falls asleep. God.
So, anyways, you were saying your mom's disappointed in you.
Oh yeah. Lots of music written about that. And no, it's funny because like I know, Anne, if you're listening, I know you love me, and I know that
Anne, you didn't say.
I'm just trying to be cheeky here.
Right.
And Mom, if you're listening, I love you. I know you're not like actually disappointed in me in general. But like I think like we all, I certainly have like shit with the way that I grew up and feeling a certain way, and that's affected like who I am like personally outside of that stuff. So, but anyway, so telling my mom that like we haven't been to church like since we moved here. I told her that. I don't know why we were talking about this.
She was not a fan.
Oh, I think she was just kind of like, but like from her perspective too, I can see why. Like that would like if you believe that this is what this is, and then hearing that like your son, who I know that she loves me, is just like not doing what you're like brought up to do when there's like salvation on the line, that would be kind of freaky or whatever. So, but yeah, I think like I was kind of asking you like, yeah, you consider yourself like a Christian, but you don't go to church, which I don't know. Like I'm still like bringing like, like, is it okay to talk about politics and religion? Only talks about religion.
Don't worry, politics are coming.
No, just like trying to like undo the kind of like a guilt factor of that. Like that's like a big like personality motivator for me, is just like feeling guilty about literally everything. And so like kind of like undoing that like over
That is
the
the
years.
Christian mentality.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It is. Yeah. So I think like undoing that, and then also realizing that like I feel like what I'm doing is healthy, and I also feel like the way that I'm being is the most I've felt okay about being myself that I ever have in my entire life. And and the lovely thing about being in a place like Nashville is that I feel like being eccentric or being yourself is not only accepted, it's like encouraged and rewarded. And I think like one of the positives about being here is that there's just like people of every background and or lots of people of lots of backgrounds. There's certainly, more or less of some, but like I feel like I found myself in a group of people that's just very accepting of like who you are, and we want you to be yourself. And it sounds so stupid, but like a month or two ago, like my wife, like I was just like, Bree, can you like paint my nails? Because like I feel like a couple of my friends have been painting their nails, and I'm just like, I've never done that.
Too?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not like, this is not some novel idea. I'm just like, that looks fun. I've always just kind of like liked shit like that, and she painted my nails, and I just felt fucking sexy as hell. And I'm just like, man, I love this. But then I think about like, I think my like dad would turn inside out if he saw me with like.
I just want you to know. I want to name this episode "John Class Paints His Nails."
But they're not painted now, so.
So you don't feel sexy as hell. I get it.
I don't know until I paint them again. So, but yeah, I think that like the kind of, because I did go to church literally my entire life, I think like it's been really like helpful for me. And like if we choose to go back at a certain point, it'd have to be the right place, and I'd have to feel okay about it. But also,
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
fucking love sleeping in.
Oh my god.
Or just knowing that I don't
Sundays
have to do something
so
in the
good?
morning. Like it's not like I get up most days like before 8 anyway.
Oh,
It's what?
that's so early.
Oh, okay.
I mean, when I go to work, I get up that early, but on the weekends,
So it just kind of depends.
talk to me at 11. Like,
sometimes, but like, yeah, I want to have the option to be like, hey, I'm up at 8, but I'm going to watch TikToks for 2 hours. Like if I don't have
are you
anything
really
to
up?
do.
Does that really count?
I don't know, but just having the option to,
yeah, I'm with
But
you
sometimes being like, all right, Sunday morning, like let's get up and do something. My wife is like, she's just so organized and together and like productive, and so like she gets up, and sometimes it's the greatest thing in the world, and sometimes I'm just like on a Saturday, can we just one of these times, can we just like sit down for like a whole day? And she's just too perfect of a person to actually like just want to do that but she will. But she's so productive on Saturdays, but like we'll also like having the option to just like to do nothing if we so choose to do so, or Sundays, especially because like I feel like in Nashville too, like shit happens also on Saturday during the day. Like we live like shout out to Nails and Drum Shop
fair,
and Wheat Coffee.
That's most big cities.
Well, yeah, not Anderson.
Things happen on Saturday usually.
So, yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
new
normal.
to me, so I just got here. Did I draw my fine? Anyway, but like there's like we go out and we like usually see like our friends on like Saturday mornings because like we live close to like that coffee shop. There's just like a little outdoor area and bagels and shit like that. But then like Sundays are like I don't want to go see more people in the morning. I just did that yesterday.
Right.
So I think that's like great.
well, like on Sundays normally, like when I went to church all the time.
Yeah.
You go to church, and now it's a late service. So it was like
Yeah.
10:30 or 11
Oh,
until
yeah.
like 12 or 1.
Yeah.
And then, or some Nashville churches like 2 or 3. Who
Yeah.
the fuck knows? And afterwards you get lunch with everybody.
Yes.
And then afterwards you drink, and that was fine. But like now that I have all these Sundays free, like sometimes I'm just staying home doing nothing.
Yeah.
But like recently, like my wife and I, we've been going every Sunday. We've been going on like a hike,
Amazing.
which I'm pretty sure is
You've
going
been
to
going on a
stop.
hike?
Yeah, like every
Oh,
week.
it's so hot now.
How come
though.
I've never been invited on one of your hikes?
Because they're quick and short, and it's me and my wife time.
Where do you go?
That's why.
Well, that sounds like something else, bud.
Yeah. But like, well, this
I
last
didn't
week,
even know you've ever hiked.
I've hiked. I used to hike all the time.
Where do you hike?
Well, we do short, like 3-4 miles.
Sure, that's fine.
This
That's
last
a hike
one
to
we
me,
did was
bud.
at Peel something Greenway, which was actually a mistake. We should not have gone because it was 1,000 degrees.
Oh God, it's so hot.
So it was actually ended up being a big problem this week because
I'm so sorry.
we went and we brought
You
water.
should have gone to church.
Should have gone to church.
Air conditioning.
And so we always bring our dog.
Oh,
He's
cool.
A corgi. So he's hella dorbs.
Oh, and hella hot in that weather too.
Oh my god, they're not good with heat.
Me neither.
And last summer we took him on a hike that was like 7 miles, and it was he almost died. Like he could not.
buddy.
So we've been like keeping it short for him. But it was kind of hot, and this one was like a mostly
Okay.
paved and gravel. This
Sure.
it was like not really a hike, it was more like a walk. This one. And so the trick you're supposed to do is you put the back of your hand on the ground and hold it there, and if
Make
it's too hot,
Don't take your
don't
dog
take
on
your dog.
it.
And it was fine. It got hotter,
Oh.
and it was a problem. So like at one
Oh,
point we were like
buddy.
halfway through, like literally the halfway point. My dog just stops and he looks at me and just turns around and starts walking back. And I was like, "That's not how this works, bud. Like we got to keep." So he struggled, and we took him home, and everything was fine. But then like he was limping,
Oh no.
and I was like, "Oh no!" And we checked, and like he had like cut 2 of his paws, and I think they're like a little burned, like from that. And I was like, he's like, I was like, "This is a problem." So, anyways, we might not be hiking until it gets cool again. But
what's your dog's name?
Gimli.
My
He has an Instagram, Gimli the dwarf dog.
Oh my God.
Check it out.
Dwarf doggo.
Dwarf doggo.
That's the
Check it out.
millennial shit I've ever heard in my entire life.
But the thing is, I would never do that after church.
Yeah,
Like my
yeah.
day is like already set.
Yeah, it is. Like, what else are you gonna do? Like, okay, you've like, oh, that was the move though. Like me and like specifically, we're lucky that like my wife's best friend growing up got a job in Indiana after she graduated college where we were living, and so then she lived like next door to us, and then she married one of our friends, Clark, who is like he's a monitor engineer, very good at what he does, and then like 6 months after we moved here, then they both moved here too, which was amazing. But anyway, so Clark and I both, like, I would still like play on the worship team like once, maybe twice a month, like even up until like we like moved here, just because it's just like I loved so many people at that church. They were just great people, and like the band was actually really killer randomly in the middle of Indiana, but he's like, he run front of house, and song number 2. But the move was always, there was this great like not like Mexican restaurant like pretty close to like both of our houses, and so like the move is that like after, because we'd get up at like, we'd practice for church like at like 7 a.m. like because there wasn't like a day before practice, thank the Lord, and like we would get up at like 7 a.m. and be there, or get up at like 6:30, be there at like 7, and then we'd be there until like 12:30, kind of tired, and so like what we always did and was just like, we'd go and get a giant fucking burrito at this Mexican joint, and then like one of those big like 32-ounce Dos Equis, and you just go home and nap for like 2 hours. It was amazing. That I just like, but like, guess what? I can still do that without going to church. So
It was always like such a large chunk of time in the middle of the day. And sure, I could go to the early service. Sure. But Saturday night, I'm busy. Like, I'm doing shit.
Oh, I remember being like 24 and being in this like joke pop punk band with my buddy Isaac. And we got into this Battle of the Bands contest. I was like 24. And the contest was in Cincinnati, and it was always on Saturday nights. And so we would drive out to Cincinnati, play this fucking like Battle of the Bands thing, and then drive back, get home at like 3 a.m. and we all worked at church at the time. And I'll wake up at like 3 hours later and just be like, all right, time to like slog through this thing. If I did that now, I would fall over.
That's rough.
Yeah.
So let's play another song.
Cool.
From your storied discography.
All right.
What should we play?
Oh man, I didn't come prepared for another song.
I mean, you just go to Spotify and just, you have that playlist, just fucking just
that
spin
playlist of just like, you know what? I am gonna show you one of my songs.
Ooh.
What if we did that? Because I'm writing for more of it now. Like, and this is like one of the things I'm like, I actually don't feel like totally shitty about this song. Randomly, I had this song pop off on TikTok at the end of like I had recorded 5 years ago. It's a long story, which I'll tell it if we have time.
We do.
But okay, cool. I'm not gonna play that song, but it's the moniker for the project is called Galaxy Family. Ooh. And the song is To Be Alone. Don't play the other one that's like the most played one. That one, like I recorded when I was like 24. I just like was trying to like
play that one right.
Don't fucking do that. But it was my friend worked for like 808, and they were sending all their like speakers out to Bed Bath & Beyond, like the Bluetooth speakers. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, hey, are you working with any artists that would want to get like $300 for their song? We're going to put them on there because we can't like license like regular songs. It's too expensive. And so I was just like, yeah, here's this one. Also, here's one that I just put out. Like I've just finished it. Like I put it on Noise Trade. If you remember Noise Trade, never put it on anything else. And this like, so, but it was the first song played on all these speakers in Bed Bath & Beyond from 808, like back in like 2017, 2018. And and I'd recorded it in like 2014 or 15. And so like this one person played the song in like 2018 in a Bed Bath & Beyond, liked it, took a video on his phone like this years ago, maybe 2017, and he could never find the artist. It was that song that I'd recorded because I'd never put it on Spotify or anything like that, and he found like a TikTok following. Like this is 2020. I should say he. I don't know if it's they. So pardon me if it's they. Anyway, they found. I'm not for sure, so I'm just gonna say they to be safe.
To be fair, they works no matter what.
Cool.
Because it just refers to everybody.
True. They found a TikTok following, and one day just posted on there, I hope somebody finds who this artist is I've never been able to find who it is. It's like the speaker song from this Bed Bath & Beyond from like 4 years ago. So it must have been 2016 that he had this. And that video got like millions of hits. And everyone for like 24 hours was trying to find the song, which happened to be my song, which I don't give a shit about. And so, but then my friend who I hadn't talked to in a while, who worked at that company, was just like, hey, your song's blowing up on TikTok. I'm like, which artist? Like, I'm like, that's awesome. Like, who am I? Like that's great. He's like, no, your song.
You
like,
artist.
I'm like, I don't have any fucking songs. He's like, the song that you put on the speaker like 6-8 years ago. I'm just like, that's not even on Spotify. He's just like, just go check it out. And it was that song, and they were trying to find me. And like, I was just like, literally, I was just like, hey, that's my song. And overnight, I got like 11,000 followers on TikTok. And you know, and then like made a music video for it, and it was just like, it was fun for like a month or something like that. But like randomly I did that. So like that was like, but that moniker was Galaxy Family. It was wild.
So did you talk to that person?
Yeah. They were awesome. They were super sweet. I haven't talked to them in a while, but yeah, we talked on the phone a couple times.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a super sweet experience, and of course it just kind of like petered out, whatever.
Yeah.
And but like kind of fun. That song got so. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put out some more stuff.
Is that
I put out
Pull It From My Teeth?
Yeah. Don't play that one, but play the one that's To Be Alone, because I think it's a better song. And but I
feel
think,
free to go to Spotify and check it out for yourself.
But I think like again, like being here, I'm like it was like right before we moved here too. So I was kind of like trying to like see what happened with it when I first moved here. I'm like, this is not for me. But now since being here, I'm just like, I feel like I want to actually like do some stuff on my own again. So this is a song I put out like 2 years ago, and I like it.
Okay.
To Be Alone.
Yeah, it's by my parents. It's a long intro.
Was this a gallop the whole time? Or did it just become a gallop?
All that I needed was just a little more of your time.
Yes, it was the whole time, but it kind of.
I don't want us to be alone. But I'm scared of a family, scared of what it might become. And I don't want somebody else feeling just like myself, feeling not like enough. I don't want us to be alone.
That was dope, dude.
Thanks.
I gotta say, so
Oh, you have an opinion?
I do. I have an opinion. I always have an opinion, Ryan. Okay, so I am a sucker in music for a couple specific things.
Stop time.
Yeah, I am. Yes,
That's what stood out to you.
Immediately. It's okay if you're in the shot a little, Wes. You can come in and grab it.
Speak. People love hearing your voice.
Thank you for opening that door with holy
Yeah, I know. It immediately
shit.
drops like 5 degrees.
Oh my god.
But so I like empty space in music.
Yeah.
So I'm a big I like a little bit less music per music in my music. You know what I mean? But I'm truly a sucker for stop times.
Oh, cool.
Like that is like my favorite. When a song has a good stop time, I'm just like, oh, that gets me. And that was a good stop time.
Oh,
That
thanks.
was a solid. I was like, oh, that feels good. I'm super into that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I feel naked when I like play that song, but I literally couldn't think of anything else off the top of my head. That
Well, if it helps, we're gonna ask you for a third one as the outro.
Oh,
So-
perfect. God damn it. What should I do? Oh, yeah.
And we've got a little time before
Sure.
that, but
Yeah.
so no rush.
Oh, thanks.
Take your time.
Yeah, that song's about like I don't have any kids, and I'm deathly afraid of having kids. Not deathly afraid, but I am like.
But you're alive in the world and see how it is.
Yeah. And just feeling like I feel like the kind of grappling with like I feel like my parents like as much as like I have issues with things like actually like tried like my parents aren't like shitty people inherently like who's like perfect.
Which is saying a lot. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's a lot of shitty people out there.
There are, and I do not think that they are at all. But also, like man, like as much as they like, I feel like they tried, and it's probably as good of a job as they actually did because I'm a whiny little piece of shit. Like I still had a lot of like shit to work through with them about the way that I feel like that I felt as a child and like adolescent with them. And being like, man, you like tried your hardest, and like, who am I to say that like I know more than you do, even if I feel like I do? And like, who's to say that like if I had a kid that they would not also be like, hey, you know what? It would have been maybe simpler if you wouldn't have just like brought consciousness into the world, like maybe
on a whim.
It's super dark, I know, but it's just like, man, like you could just not, and like having kids is fantastic. If you want to have kids, my parents wanted to have kids, obviously, but like, but I think it's just like kind of like oh my god, like you don't, me feeling like you don't have to do that, and like I could just like, yes, there's like probably a lot of like joy that I'm like maybe robbing myself of, but like I also feel like I can like you don't need children to have a wonderful fulfilling life. I think we can agree upon that.
I mean, like, it's pretty joyous to be able to do whatever the fuck you want all the time.
Sure, it's so like it's like I mean, like, but again, like I understand like the like immense benefits that can be. Just for me, it's just like I just get in my head so much about it. It's just like, oh my god, like I just don't take it lightly that like if I procreate, just like I didn't choose to be brought into the like existence, nor will they. Who's to say that they will just like it, because so many people don't. And that's like hard. No, it's true. It's just like it's like, but it's just like, and I can't. And I feel like as much as I try, because I feel like my parents tried, and like as much as I try, they may still just fucking hate it.
Here's
And
a
that's just like,
real. Here's a real bottom of the.
I'm not
bottle
saying
of
that that's
whiskey.
right. I'm just saying that that's what I've thought about.
Yeah. Here's a real bottom of the whiskey kind of thought I'm having. So you were talking about, they tried their best, and yet there's things you've had to grapple with, whatever, in your adolescence. Like, it's just a connection I'm making. Because like what you're saying is not foreign to me. It's like I know 5 people off the top of my head that think like that. Wesley being one of them.
Yeah.
But one thing, I wonder if there's a connection here with like people raised in the church, because you're supposed to, like, as a healthy psychological piece of your development, and I'm referencing the show The Patient from
seen
Hulu. Have you seen this?
I've seen like half of it.
You only saw half? After watching it, I was like, ooh, I think this might be something you're into.
Yeah, it's the Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow for you?
No. I liked it. It was just I was purposely trying to pace it out so I didn't catch up so super fast, and then it just like fell out of the habit because of that.
I understand.
Been there.
It was a mistake.
Okay, it's a good show.
It's
so
great.
anyway, but like
The concept of the show is it's a therapist who gets
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell, not a comedy show.
Oh, is it with Paul Dano?
That name's super familiar, but I couldn't
Bro,
tell you.
He's like
Steve Carell.
Paul Dano on the show.
No, we just said it, idiot. No, no, but like he gets
Kidnapped.
Yes, I think
Yes.
it's Paul Dano.
By
Is
a,
Paul
by
Dano-
a serial killer.
Yes, I think
and
it's-
then he's forced to therapize.
No,
Yes.
I've never
I
heard
think
of
the
Paul
serial-
Dano.
I've heard that name,
heard of
but I
Steve
don't.
Oh,
Carell.
he's incredible. I mean, look. Anyway, I love Paul
Wes is
Dano.
bringing it up.
Yeah,
Yeah, so anyway,
pull up Paul Dano.
as he was saying in the show,
that one actually made sense. Paul Dano.
get to have him. What if he was our surprise guest?
I would shit your pants.
We have a surprise guest for each of our guests.
That would be
It's
a
an-
great bit.
Yeah, it would. It's an obscure actor that we've never heard of.
That I love.
That you love. We figured it out.
Wait, bring up specifically Paul Dano.
Oh no, it's Domhnall Gleeson. I fucked up. Who I also love.
So you don't know what you're
Okay.
about. Is what you're saying. I don't know. That's okay. That's okay.
Yes, correct.
Isn't
many
that the point
ways.
of the song? No, I was gonna say, okay, so like it's a normal, like healthy stage of humans to like separate from their parents, and like everybody has to do it in their own way, and that's like teenage rebellion's kind of out of that.
Yeah.
I think our more connected culture makes that extra challenging or interesting. I think we disconnect in a way that, you know, they wouldn't do in previous times or in other kinds of cultures that
Yeah.
are more collectivist.
Yeah.
But in our individualized American culture, where the thing is you might be raised in Anderson, Indiana, in a very conservative Christian home. I assumed conservative. You didn't say that.
Yeah.
I mean,
But,
they go hand in hand.
It's like, obviously.
No one's like, I came from a super liberal Christian home. That's not a thing.
It's your home, man. Do you have kids?
If not yet,
Okay.
we're considering.
They'd be like,
but
I
I'm
grew
like
up-
kind of with you a little bit. Like,
Oh, fuck me, dude. Have kids.
it's like 50-50 with me.
And so, what was I saying? So you got everybody. So even though that might have been where you grew up, you're being exposed to Justin Vernon and TV shows and media and the internet, and all of that makes it so that we all have the cultural ideas from everything. You know, the whole melting pot happens online anyway, even
Yeah.
if you're in a very isolated community.
Nowadays, the modern world, everything is connected, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So here's my like little thought, if I can like put it together, is that I wonder if there's something about the fact that you were saying with the idea of having kids, you're like they tried their hardest and yet like I'm
Bitter.
Yeah, in some way because you pulled away. Well, here's the thing: you're supposed to pull away from your parents and develop your own individual perspective.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that just ends up getting a little muddied in our minds in a conservative Christian background. And it could happen in any background,
Sure.
right? Any kind of tight cultural background. If you were a Muslim and you tried to like, Mom and Dad, I'm going to become a conservative Christian.
Yeah.
The same thing would happen.
Sure.
If you were in India and, you know, and you were like, I'm going to eat cows, like all sort, you know,
Cats.
just like if
Dog.
you're in a
Spiders.
Crickets.
in a conservative.
Sorry.
Jeez.
You're saying something really good.
Don't talk about eating the shellfish. Abomination.
Sea spiders.
But I wonder if it's just like in that environment. I think one of the things that I've pulled away from in church. I'm trying to bring this all together. So
No, I'm
but
into
I
it.
wanted to say this earlier. So I'm the person. I still go to church, but I had I pulled away from the last church where I really felt like this is my church and I'm all in, and then I kind of have just bounced around and then kind of didn't go to church for a while, and then now I go to a church, and I've found here's how I found my peace. I found my peace by I go here, I like them well enough. This is cool. I've made one or two friends, and we'll hang out and go to a little. Like I'll go to his birthday party. I got a new friend, new church friend. I'll go to his birthday party. It's a cool time, right? These people are chill. However, the thing that I think I've identified that I had to pull away from is this church is my world. It's my community. It's who I do business with.
Yeah.
It's where I find all of my friendships, and like
Once upon a time.
yeah, that was I think.
I mean,
where-
hell,
And all of my
The
meaning.
three
And all
of
the
us met going to the same church.
Yeah.
You know?
And you have to, it's like, how could you even marry somebody who doesn't go to this church? Because they're not going to believe all the exact same things as you. How complicated would that be?
This is when it starts to sound like a cult.
And so that kind of, but I think every culture can be that way, where if you can find a culture that's big enough to be all of your everything, then it's all of your everything. And then the problem is that if important people within that, people who have a voice, the top pastor or just even people who are really popular, if they disagree with you, you feel like you either have to change and go along with what they say or do whatever you're going to do in secret, because you can't just be out there with who you are
or do
in
like me.
open
It's not just
defiance
accepted by...
Right. Or just do what I do, and I do that, and they're like, "Brr," and I just leave. I'm just like, fuck this place.
Yeah. Well, and there's
But that
luckily
also
there's
took years and lots of pain.
It did. Yes, it's true. Very true.
And luckily there's been like, oh man, I have some really great friends in like, I made this record. This will be the last song. Oh, I'm so glad. You said another song.
Yeah, there's gonna
perfect.
be an outro song. Yeah.
Oh my god, this is like years ago, but I think it's important that everyone listens to this record because like, I feel like the guy that wrote it, Sam Yoder, he's like he grew up Amish and then like is not anymore. His whole family isn't anymore. But they live.
He's a musician.
He's a chiropractor who's one of the coolest fucking songwriters that ever walked the earth.
We gotta get him on.
Yeah,
I want to talk to an ex-Amish so bad. I want to talk to an ex-Amish so bad.
He's also a brilliant just person, and like they have this little community.
And he'll also crack my back while he's here. So.
Oh yeah. He is like when I see like we made a song together. We made a record, but it started with a song together in like 2016 or 17, and like friend of a friend like introduced him. They like he and his buddies like drove up and they recorded, and instantly like just great friends. They're in Campbellsville, Kentucky, and for some reason in this little town, this nowhere town in Kentucky, there is like a group of some of the most like kind-hearted, goofiest, smartest, talented people. And then there's this church, there's this Vineyard Church in Campbellsville, Kentucky. And I'm just like, I hope somebody like hears this and just like is looking for a church in Campbellsville, because like that's where you should go, because like they like all of those people like the guy who played drums, Matt, who's also this like great like producer and just musical person, is like agnostic but still goes, and they have their studio in the church. And then like I think Sam still thinks he like considers himself like a Christian, but it's just like they all introduced me. Like it sounds, I'm ashamed to say it, like, but like it took me until 27 to be introduced to Stanley Kubrick, and they were just like, "Hey, here's 2001: Space Odyssey."
Left.
No, I saw this earlier, and I about shit my pants.
Really?
And so like
because the movie's so bad, or
oh yeah. I was just like, this is terrible. Burn this. And so just most beautiful movie of all time. And like
I actually hate that movie so much.
Oh no,
I
really?
hate it so much.
What?
Because it's a fucking screensaver. That's what that movie is. It's a screensaver.
Where do you think the
it's
screensavers came
it's
from?
about- it's
That
not about
movie.
Someone had to invent it.
Oh, it's
the
about
intro
everything.
scene is good, and then
about-
the howl thing is good, and
well-
everything else in between is trash.
Watch it with them.
I don't like Kubrick. though.
Why watch it with them? Because like I think they like as just some of my favorite people on planet Globes. Anyway, and we made this record, and he like wrote this entire record about like God, space, consciousness. The last song is 9 minutes. This like conversation between death and consciousness. Like we were born in a surge of flame, born to know a name, gathering the light in foreign groves. Oh man, I just forget it, but it's just like the lyrics are fucking crazy, and he sings. You hear his voice, and it sounds like he grew up Amish, but then it's this big fucking like rock opera. It's just, it's like it's one of my favorite things. Like, there's rarely any song am I just like 100% happy with, but like as an experience, like that record was just one of my favorite times of life. Just like driving down to Kentucky and making that record with like people and just like drinking beers and smoking cigarettes and watching Kubrick and then making music that we all gave a fuck about.
Sure.
Yeah.
I hope you watched some good Kubrick at least. Though.
I've watched, I think, all of his
Doctor
movies.
Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Yeah.
I don't like Kubrick generally.
Oh, I do.
That movie and The Shining, I like.
You like The Shining?
I like The Shining.
I love The Shining. I'm just saying you don't like Kubrick, but you like The Shining.
You're right, but I don't like 2001. I don't like Full Metal Jacket. I really don't like Full Metal Jacket.
I love it. It's just like 2 movies, and it's just fucking
You're right.
devastating.
The first
Full Metal
movie
Jacket
is good.
the one where they're in
The
boot
second
camp?
movie is trash.
The one
No,
where
it's
in boot camp?
not.
Yeah, the first
Okay.
half is that.
So I was watching it at a friend's house. I saw the boot camp, and then we had to like go to something, and so that's the. I've only seen the first movie.
Pretty sure that was my house, Ryan, the first time I watched it.
Was it?
Yeah, back in Santee.
Maybe. I
But-
liked the first part.
Yeah, the first part was great. The second half, I was trash.
Can't speak to it.
He just does this slice of life style that I cannot stand.
Oh God, I love it.
I'm not going to say he's bad. Obviously, he's one of the most celebrated directors of all time.
Yeah. You
It's
can
just
hate him
not-
though.
Not my preference.
Sure. You can say
But
he's bad though. It's
specifically,
fine.
2001 is fucking not my preference.
Oh God, I love
Get
it.
that shit out of my life.
It's like maybe one of my top 5 favorite movies.
Now, maybe if I was like hella inebriated, I could get into it.
I was fully sober when I watched that movie, and I was just like,
Me too. That was the
I
problem.
can't stop thinking about it. So I'm gonna watch that this weekend.
just to
Just
spite
'cause-
me.
yeah, fuck you.
My wife has never seen it. I told her I'd watch it with her, but I said I'm gonna be hella gone.
It's like, it's so like, I don't know. But like every guy who thinks that he's just like artistic likes Kubrick, so I feel like I'm like coming off as one of those fucking guys, which I probably am.
Fine, it's allowed.
Yeah, it's just like oh, you're like another fucking guy born, in the last 50 years that thinks that likes things. I don't know.
You be liking things.
Yeah, I do be liking things, and
Now,
that's one of them.
We do get out of here pretty soon,
Oh fuck.
but before we do,
Yeah.
we do have one question that we ask every guest.
Okay. How tall are you?
No, I'm gonna guess. I don't know, 6'2".
Yeah,
Fucking nailed it.
you did.
I'm fucking great.
I'm
at
so turned on
estimating
right now.
heights.
Holy shit.
You should be.
So sorry. I'm sorry.
I have to wrap up one thought.
Yeah, wrap it up. One
I
thought.
just wanted to say with my grandmaster theory, I just think there's just something about having the individualizing is good, and there's something about the fact of being raised in a religious community where the individualization gets confused with like it's not okay to do this because we already have put you into the way that you're supposed to be.
Yes.
And like, and unfortunately,
as opposed to the concept of come as you are.
But when it's so
Gross.
different for people who are raised in it versus people who do come because my girlfriend's the opposite.
Sorry. That's like I wanted to talk about bits, but that's
No,
what I'm
thank you. Okay, I have to. This is an aside. Today, I wish I had gotten to tell the story on here. I'll just shortcut it.
Yeah.
Just I had out of the blue an Israeli number call me today, and a guy on the other line like, "Hi, I want to work on the song." Anyway, this guy
You
wanted
don't
to.
gotta do the accent, but it's all right.
This guy wanted to do an Israeli hip hop song, and I just did that right before you came in.
Like literally, when I got here, before you got here, they were still here. Like,
it's like anyway, very unique
wait,
experience. We just
rap in
in Hebrew rap. We
That's
had
kinda cool.
It was like
amazing.
a whirlwind 3-hour session, and we built a track. And I don't really even do hip hop, but
Cool.
but I did, and
I wanna hear
it.
it.
Was fun. Yeah, it was wild.
I do.
And so anyway, he he clearly learned his English from pop culture because he was like inappropriately sexual in his language. And so when I would do something he really liked, I did like put in a sub bass, and he's like, "Oh, I'm fucking coming. I'm coming." Just like everything.
I'm gonna start doing that all the time.
nobody will like that. Zero people.
No. Yes, they will. Because I've managed to surround myself with people in my life that are fine with that. It's not my mom. And on that story, though,
And
too,
if you heard that,
sorry, mom. Yes, I have had sex, and so a fun fact, I don't know for sure that my parents did because I'm a test tube baby. So just like I feel like I should pepper that in before we leave.
Ooh, wow.
So
you can't just pepper that shit in.
no,
It's
I'm
like-
going to like no explanation. I'm test tube baby. I don't know for sure if my parents have ever had sex.
Yeah, that's me. You're
Test
probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
science. That's how.
plus egg. Sperm plus egg. Everybody.
But that song of mine is less about like being scared to have like a family. Well, it is, but also like this. Look, to your point, you're just like, hey, like it's natural for you to like want to like do your own thing and become an individual in this kind of like and like separate from your
But
family or
nothing's
whatever.
natural for you. You were built in a lab.
Yeah, exactly. I have no soul.
Yeah,
We're not playing that shit again.
And so I can't go. So I can't go to heaven because it might not exist. Because I don't have a son. Anyway, but like feeling like, okay, I'm different than my family. That's okay. But also being like the more direct juxtaposition of like my sister never went through that and is very close with my family. Maybe like, sorry, Julianne, but maybe closer than I think you should be. And like,
She listens to every episode,
yes,
just so you know.
And I'm just like, that's like, we're like me and my sister are so different. But then like even my wife on the other hand, who is just like has like created her own identity outside of her family 100%, but is still like very close with her family in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And like enjoys their company a lot. And I'm like, I do not have that with my family. I love them, but I have to like edit myself with my family.
Yeah.
And if I didn't, they would freak the fuck out. So I think that's the point where I'm just like, oh man, like I would just hate to bring somebody in the world who feels like they have to edit themselves in front of me no matter how hard I try. I think that's like kind of like yes, it's good and like natural, and lots of people, most people separate themselves from their family. I think like I saw like, well, my sister really never did. And then but also like even people who did, a lot of people, including the person I'm married to, like has remained close with their family and in a way that like I can't access or feel like I can't access.
Right.
And I have like approached, like just started to like tread the line a little bit, and it's met with like, whoa. I think that's the kind of like thing.
But because you think like that, went through the experience you did, you won't raise your kids that way, and
Yeah,
they
and
won't
they'll
have that
probably
problem.
still hate me.
True.
Like he is loud all the time. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, I felt.
I had to get that
I
out
want
there.
to say this,
Yeah.
and you can feel free to veto. This is very a vetoable thing. Based on one of the things you just said, now I kind of want to name this episode "John Class Can't Go to Heaven."
Sign off.
I love titles that you'd have to get to the end of the episode to know
Yeah,
what it
That's
meant.
usually how it is.
Yeah, just rope them in early.
Yeah. Why can't he go to heaven?
I'm dying to know.
I do love seeing the titles of a lot of our episodes, and then sometimes I'm like, what the fuck did that even mean?
John Class isn't Jeff. Is Jeff?
Isn't Jeff?
I'm not. I'm
Not
sorry.
Jeff. Yeah,
I wish I were.
My favorite was Post Show Horse. I still love Post Show Horse as an episode.
Was that your celebrity guest? I asked for Paul Dano. You got a post show horse.
We got a horse one time.
Damn.
Yeah, we had a band on, and it told us stories like, after a show, he's like, I'm so hungry, I could eat a horse. And I was like, yeah, you got to have your post show horse. Like,
and
I
I'm
just
always saying
loved
that.
And you
But-
said you can't go to heaven. And for the viewers at home who missed it, it's because he's a test tube baby.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
that's
double
me.
button press, the accidental.
And they were both Owen Wilson. Oh.
I love this one.
I can't go to heaven.
Yeah.
I can't go to heaven.
Because he was born in a lab. All right.
Anyways, we have one question that we ask every guest.
Oh my fucking god.
If you had to choose,
And you do.
and you do. Now, the important thing about this question
Okay.
is that the answer must not come
Take a breath.
from here.
Okay. From here. From here.
Breathe.
Not
From
from
here.
He's pulling his cock out!
From the head.
Not from here.
From the head.
It must come
Don't.
from here.
The heart. That's the place. What?
If you had to choose,
And you do.
and you do.
And for the audio-only listeners, we are leaning in dramatically.
Now, what that actually means, coming from your heart and not your head, is that I need an answer immediately.
Okay.
I don't want you to think about it.
Okay.
I want it to come from the depths of your soul, which you don't have. So we'll just go with your heart. It's fine.
The depths of
You
my
hear that?
science.
The depths of your science.
You hear that, kids? Test tube babies don't have a soul.
Wow.
If you had to choose,
And you do.
and you do, what would you say?
Now pause it. You usually go a little too quick. I want it to.
That's true. Oh, you want to?
Yeah. No, I want your answer to come at the
Gross.
end of this sound effect. Okay.
If you had to choose,
And you do.
and you do,
And you do.
What would you say is your favorite kind of turtle?
The kind that's in my hand.
So the worst answer we've ever gotten. I mean, most people, when they don't know what to say, just go with snapping. But you're just like, fuck that. The turtle that's in my hand, which is no turtles. This man hates turtles.
No, I don't mean that. I'm sorry. Tell the turtle listener. It's my favorite turtle. My favorite turtle.
Why don't you describe it for the listeners at home?
Well, have you ever seen a turtle made of gold? No. It's a turtle made of gold with little beady black eyes with more gold around the sides, and there's a hole in the bottom, as there is with most turtles, but also not with most turtles. There's 3 holes on the top, which makes me think, this isn't a real turtle, you fucking bastard.
I think it's a salt shaker. I definitely inhaled.
Another bit, just to take home with you, is like anything that ends with ER, replace it with IST. You'll annoy everyone you know forever. Salt shakest. Elementary school teachest. Horse wispistest.
I do that same thing. Sorry, I inhaled a little bit of
It's great.
liquor into my lung. It burns a lot.
That's where it's supposed to go, right?
Ooh. I do the same thing with ologist. I say I'm not a turtleologist.
I'm not a turtle. Well, wait. I'm not a turtler. I'm not a turtleologist.
A turtlist.
A turtlist. Yes. A birdwatchist.
That burn is a lot.
So
Yeah.
usually right afterwards, we'll ask people like, well, why is that their favorite kind of turtle?
But you didn't say it.
You didn't say a turtle, so.
Because it's the one I have now, and I love every turtle. Especially if they're in my hand. Yeah. Definitely not.
Well, on that note, before we get out of here, let the people know where they can find you. Your TikTok, your Facebook, your MySpace, your Zynga, your live journal.
Yeah, we never got the live journal. That's okay. I
To be
don't
fair, he
have
brought
a
it up
soul.
because I always say it during this part.
I think both my TikTok and my Instagram are at John_class. So if you want to find me, go there. Or Saturdays at Nelson Drum Shop, I'm going to be eating a bagel and having a coffee. Saturday mornings. That's where you can
Is there a
physically
coffee
find me.
shop at Nelson?
Yeah, Week Coffee. Friends Nate and Steph. It's a little coffee cart inside there, and it's great fucking coffee every day, except for Sundays and Mondays.
Now, if people want to
I'm
specifically...
following you right now on Instagram for my other accounts.
You fancy
John_class.
Yeah.
Now, if people want to specifically hear the song you didn't want us to play,
Oh no, don't. Then you can't. Sorry.
it's on Spotify somewhere. You got to look hard.
No, you really don't have to look. I think I said the name earlier.
Probably true.
Yeah, but I think I'm gonna write some more of that this year because everyone here is great at writing songs, and so I'm just gonna have them help me.
All right.
Yeah.
What was the song we wanted to go out on?
Oh yeah. Okay. So he goes by the moniker Silicone Boone, Boon, maybe E. I don't know, like an artificial.
Yeah. With the E.
Okay, Silicone Boone, and then
Oh, this guy looks like he used to be Amish.
yeah. Well, let me look at. I mean, I forget the name of the song for some
Or a
reason.
NASCAR driver.
Same deal.
Oh, go to the one. Born. Can I hit the button?
Feel
Yeah,
free.
once we-
Wait, I got to do the
yeah.
outro first.
Oh,
You
sorry.
You hit the
Is
button
there
at the
a
end of my
musical?
outro.
Is there a musical part
Intro?
before vocals start, or do vocals come in right away?
It's a little. Yeah, it's a big.
See if you can time this.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So I'm gonna do an outro, and then you time
like
it where
them-
you
starts.
feel.
I like
just
them-
to give you a hint, it starts with like what scientists believe the Big Bang sounded like. That's what this song is kind of about.
Whoa.
The
Okay.
Big Bang. It's fucking beautiful.
So see if you can time it right with the outro.
Okay.
Anyways, guys, as always, thanks for coming to hang out. You guys are awesome, and we'll see y'all